Oh, I'm good. Dealing with the pandemic, working out every day,
Great.
just racking up free money.
Great. That's good. Yeah, those Trump bucks. And
Yeah.
and Mr. Sci-Fi has just gone live as well. So if anyone's watching Mr. Sci-Fi, you can ask questions via the chat, and we're also doing the table as a simulcast. So hello, guys. So Marcus, is there anything you need, or is there anything you're working on, or just give us a little overview?
Tell us about your artistic pursuits.
Oh, right on. So I've been in the pursuit of acting for about 20 years now.
Great.
I started when I was really young. I'm 32 now, and I just always had a passion for it. So when I moved to Atlanta, I started, basically booking my first extra stuff, and then getting into the independent industry, and then actually touching major films. Unfortunately, my name's not in the credits yet, but I'm trying to get there.
Okay.
Great. So
Okay.
what kind of materials? What kind of materials do you have in terms of self-promotion?
So I do social media, and then a lot of people that I know in the industry, they just pass stuff to me. I've got 2 agents here in Atlanta. I'm trying to move to the West Coast to, pursue more. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like, unfortunately, there's a cap in Atlanta for people that actually live here.
Yes.
Versus where the outside sources are coming from, the bigger markets. I mean, we're a hub, but we're just a hub. We're only getting the hand-me-downs, which is unfortunate.
Right.
But I mean, you always have to go out to come back. So even though I live here, I'm trying to get there to basically come back.
Right. Well, do you have a really good reel up, or is it something that needs fixing?
It definitely needs fixing. Some of the stuff I've touched, I probably wouldn't show my mom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is just she's just incrementally improve your materials. It doesn't have to be a gigantic leap all at once, but it's sort of like if there's a scene where you go, ooh, that's just not what I want it to be. Then you think, okay, let's see what I can do to shoot something that's going to be a little better. Again, it's sort of like, but also definitely moving out to LA makes a lot of sense once the pandemic is over, because this is where it's happening, and because a lot of the shows, they may shoot elsewhere, but they do their major lead casting here and then do local hires for the smaller roles, the 5 and unders and so forth. And that's not going to really get you very far.
Yeah.
But one of the things one of the things that I'm really happy about is it used to be able to put onto your reel only things that you were hired to do.
Right.
But now you can create anything that you feel, as long as it's well lit and the sound is pretty good.
Yes.
You can create anything that you like that you feel would really show off your best work, the things that you most value. And so if you found a monologue that it doesn't have to be long, but that would really show something that you feel you can relate to the most strongly, or present the most strongly, where when you see that kind of character or those kinds of feelings, you usually think, oh, that's bogus. I've been through that, and that's bogus. I can do better. Because what people are looking for isn't necessarily renting melodrama. What they're looking for is, even if it's very quiet, anything we can really believe, thoroughly believe.
Yeah.
And so if there's any kind of material that you can either write or find, sometimes some of the naturalistic playwrights are good for that because they were never filmed. But to create some really good material, then people can help you. We've run into that. We've had actors who said, can you help us? Can you help us? And we couldn't until they presented us with some material.
Yes.
And when they presented us with really good material, then we had a tool.
Right. And now they're on top of the world, whereas before they were in the gutter. So
so that's the one good thing about self-taping. If you can self-tape something or a few somethings and then get it to one of our editors, who might cut you a break.
Not to name names.
Not to name names, but and get it where I can see that you can really deliver a completely honest moment. Where I can see your eyes and I can see what's in your eyes and I can connect to you.
Right.
You can be a bad baddie, but if I understand what's making you a bad baddie, then I'm still on your side.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Gotcha.
Great. Okay, great. Yay. Cheers. So, Adam, is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question or anything from the Mr. Sci-Fi side?
No questions yet.
Okay.
But we do have a few shout outs. Richie Medina says, I love your work and I love Space Command.
Yay. Well, one thing to mention about that, Richie, is that we're, in addition to being nearly done with episode 2, the second part of Redemption, and then prepping to shoot the rest of Forgiveness. We also, during the pandemic, have done a new Space Command episode that looks like it's going to be a double episode, 2 hours long, with astonishing actors. It's got Barbara Bain, it's got Armin Shimmerman, it's got Neil deGrasse Tyson, it's got Christina Moses from A Million Little Things, it's got, and all of our other regulars, Mira Furlan, Bill Mummy, Robert Picardo, Doug Jones, Michael Harney, and Ethan McDowell, Brian McClure, etc. And it's coming out great. So we're going to have a one-day Space Command convention June 20th and show the first hour again and premiere this new episode, which is called Ripple Effect. And we made it entirely during the pandemic. So it's going to be pretty spectacular, and
so
I'm very proud of it.
All you need are really good actors, a really good editor. You can
Yes.
be an idiot.
Mhm.
So it's a great way to make film.
Yay.
Yeah.
So
It
great.
helps having great writers.
Yes. So now I see that Connie has joined us. So Connie, do you want to take your turn?
Barbara Bain's a go?
Yes. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, we don't have 100%, but yeah, she's a go.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well, I've already made her name in the credits, so
Okay.
That's
wait.
great. That's
Great.
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 She is working hard on this silly little thing.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
but it's a very hard role.
yeah.
It's-
It takes several different expressions.
Yeah.
So
Woo!
yeah, that's acting. That's acting. And for those who don't know who Barbara Bain is, she starred in the original Mission Impossible and also in Space 1999. She was married to Martin Landau. She's an amazing, amazing person. I've written a big role for her in Sweet Haven, the show I'm creating with Rockney O'Bannon. But also we found a role for her in the Space Command.
She was very popular in her day. Partially
She still
because
is.
she still
She's
is. but
great.
She was an excellent actor and very, very hot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay, great. So Connie, go ahead, please. How are you doing?
Hi guys, I'm okay. I can't stay very long tonight. I've had a hell of a week, so
No.
I'm gonna go to bed
Okay.
because it's currently 1:30 a.m.
Yeah. Sure. Of course.
Yeah,
It's
I'm okay. Like I said, it's been a bit of a week. Had to. My mum's going through chemo. Some of
Yes.
you may
Yes,
remember. I
yeah.
had to shave her head yesterday.
Oh, that's
her hair
hard.
started to fall out, so
Yeah.
it's been a bit of
That's emotional.
an emotional week, and we're
Yeah.
all a bit exhausted. But yeah, I'm good. For anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Connie. I am a actress, a singer, a writer, and a special effects makeup artist. So if anybody needs anything, I'm here. But I'm also in the UK, so if it takes me a while to get back to you, that is why. But yeah, I'm doing good. I just wanted to kind of come on and say hello to everybody and just kind of show my face.
Oh,
That's well, it's good to see you, Connie. You
it is
know,
good to see
and
you.
we're your pals, and so
Perhaps we can set up a Facebook with your mom if she wouldn't mind.
a Facebook, you
Or
mean
a face-
FaceTime?
FaceTime. Facebook.
Elaine's
FaceTime.
not with
Yes,
up with the
Face-
current with
Perhaps
all the
we-
young people's
No,
technology.
I know it. But perhaps we could-
Send her the best from the table and everyone here.
Yes,
I will.
yes,
Yes.
yes. We can send her a telegram via the Morse code and the Wells Fargo office. So unless the Indians have cut the wires again. So okay, cool. So anything you need, anything we can do to help you?
Not today. I'm okay today, thank you.
Okay, well, it's great seeing you.
Well, thanks for
Connie.
joining us at 1:30.
Cheers. Yes.
Yay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Adam, any more Mr. Sci-Fi questions? Space
We
Command questions?
do have a question.
Cool.
But first, very happy birthday to frequent watcher Mark Lungo.
Yay, Mark Lungo! Happy birthday!
Okay. So the question is from Les Grossman,
Okay.
who asks, is E.B. White's screenplay book still a good book to develop a screenplay, or is there a better book you can recommend?
Well, that's an interesting question. I've heard good things about Save the Cat, but I haven't read it. I liked William Goldman's Adventures in the Screen Trade, but that's more about the life of a screenwriter rather than writing tips. The Twilight Zone Companion is a great book to read in terms of studying how Twilight Zone did its tricks and got such great scripts. But
I don't know if any of the actors here agree, but and I'm not acting much anymore. But Save the Cat just stuck in my throat. It's just every cliche that you can imagine. If you want to do one of those scripts, great.
right,
If you want to do something interesting and original, look elsewhere.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
okay, go ahead,
I
Lane.
think from really fine screenwriters, some of the best things to read are screenplays that you love,
Mhm.
and to study them. Turn off the visual, just listen to the audio. But if it's screenplays that move you,
Mhm.
and have hopefully, done fairly well at the box office,
Yes.
but screenplays that really move you and touch you where you live, that you really understand,
Mhm.
it's really interesting for you to like study how they did their tricks, especially get
Yeah.
as broad a range as you possibly can.
So that's how it goes.
You
But
might
yeah.
talk about the
I
way.
could
What?
add a little bit to that too.
Sure.
I've been teaching screenwriting a long time, and the basics are still Sid Field's book. Screenplay is still the basics of 3-act structure. If you want to follow that, that's the one to start off with. I really like this one. It's more advanced and a bit more, like university, but it's also really good. Is Leo Segri's book, The Art of Dramatic Writing.
Mhm.
That thing is filled with amazing information, but it's a bit meatier, but it's really something. So those are the
Yes.
two I'd recommend.
Right.
And although it applies to novels generally, you can find this on YouTube, by the way, if you want the audio version, and I recommend the audio version. But Stephen King's memoir, The Art of the Craft.
Yeah, on writing. That's a
On
great
writing.
book.
It's
Yeah.
really incredible.
Yeah. And
And
also,
if you can find the Zikri, what was it called? The Zikri. You did it with David. What's David's name again?
David.
The podcast you did.
Oh, David
years ago.
Simpkins, the Zikri Simpkins podcast. Yeah, those were fun.
If you can find the Zikri Simpkins podcast, there was a particularly good one that I remember with Joe Dougherty, where you really broke down how scenes in I'm forgetting the movie, the Lindbergh movie, really broke down what each scene could do and how much more weight it could carry, and things that just people omit and just ignore. And that was very informative. So
good.
try to find that.
Yeah, and of course I'm writing Greenlighting Yourself now for Silman James, which will come out as soon as I finish writing it, and that'll be a very I think helpful book in many ways. I'm hoping, but yeah. So so now let's see.
I want to mention one other. The Writer's Journey by Chris Vogler is a classic. It's based on the hero's journey of Joseph Campbell's work, and it's really a great read.
Great. There we are. Yeah, though you have to be very careful of the hero's journey, simply because a lot of bad writers felt that they could write the next Star Wars and wrote these really empty scripts that followed the structure outlined in the hero's journey, but actually didn't have any soul or voice or creative oomph. And so the real answer is, Ray Bradbury, who's my friend and mentor for many years, said to me, "Look inward," and so I think from studying movies and TV shows, you can learn structure, you can learn a lot of the craft, but to really write something meaningful, you have to look inside and see what moves you, what matters to you, what really is important to you as an artist, as a writer, as a person. And that's where you're really going to find the juice. But also, I strongly urge studying the work of writers whom you actually admire. So make a list of who your favorite screenwriters are. Now, thanks to this wonderful golden age of DVDs and Blu-rays, which won't last much longer probably, you can actually often hear them talking through the entire film about how they crafted it, what they did, how it worked. That can be hugely useful too. When I did the Twilight Zone Blu-ray, I did 52 commentaries. Sometime I'll do the rest of them. And so I interviewed all these writers who worked on the show, and I got very, very, very specific about how they came up with the ideas, how they built the ideas, and because I learned from Richard Matheson and George Clayton Johnson and Serling, of course, and so forth. So those are, and Harlan Ellison, but invaluable, just invaluable. So okay, now who else is on the east? Who else is on the East Coast?
East of the Mississippi?
Anybody else?
Or needs to leave early.
Or needs to leave early.
Anybody else? Not at the moment? Okay.
Nope, I guess not.
Okay.
So Jean, why don't we start with you, since you're up in our upper left according to our screen.
Yes.
Hi. Thank you again for doing this. This has been so helpful to me.
Sure, you bet.
Last week I showed, I forget her name now, my studio where I take people, and someone was kind enough to offer that he does soundproofing, which I realized I have an echoing thing going on in there right now. And I think even when I get the thing for my window, it's not going to solve it. So I just wanted to, I did tape somebody this morning, and it sounds fine, but for a self-tape, but it's not. I'd like it to be really good.
Cool.
So if somebody knows where I can get sound panels, if that's what I need, I'd like to keep it simple because it's also an office, you know. So
I can help you with that if you want. You can
good.
email me. Yeah, I can give you some advice about that.
Yeah, somebody gave me their email and I guess I wrote it down wrong because I never got it.
That's all right.
I'll
send it to you.
Okay, my email is just my name at mac.com.
Cool. Great. Okay, terrific. Yay. 3 cheers. So another question from the Mr. Sci-Fi crowd, Adam?
Yes, we've been getting quite a few good ones.
Oh, good.
Including this one from our birthday boy, Mark Lungo.
Yes.
Who asks, which of the unproduced Twilight Zone scripts do you think had the most potential?
That's a good question. 2 of my favorites were Living Doll by Richard Matheson. That wasn't Living Doll, it was called The Doll by Richard Matheson. Later it was made into an Amazing Stories episode with John Lithgow, though he wrote it with Martin Balsam in mind. And also the unmade Twilight Zone pilot, The Happy Place, which is about a future totalitarian society similar to The Obsolete Man, where when you turn 60, you're taken to a lovely retirement community where you're exterminated. And so that's a great script, and one that I got very close to actually making. The Discovery Channel wanted to hire me to make that script and also do a Twilight Zone documentary around it, so it would have been a 2-hour programming block, but it was owned by CBS and they would not let us do it, and that was really a shame. There was a real question whether Serling owned it or CBS did, and Carol Serling did not want to take it to court for fear of losing the rights that she had. And but it's a real hole in the contract. Someone should have caught that. Serling had an agreement in his contract that any stories he came up with that weren't used in Twilight Zone would revert to him, but it said stories, and because of that, the network interpreted that as meaning outlines and not scripts. And so it was the lack of specificity in the word that screwed everybody. So it's a shame, but that's the way it goes. So I guess. Oh yes.
Hamza Zaman is he's from New York.
Okay, yeah. So okay, let's see where I don't. Oh, Hamza. Yeah. So go for it. Yeah, take your turn. You bet.
Yeah. I'm a writer, actor, director. I've done about half a dozen short films. My last one is called Sickness. It's on Amazon Prime.
Great.
It was in 2018. So, but it's basically about people, it's about sickness. So it's kind of prophetic in a weird way.
Yes.
I got a reel. It's on YouTube. I'm more working on my feature debut right now, which is something we're planning on shooting at the end of the summer. Up here, my wife and kid are sort of eavesdropping in the other side, and I've been coming to the table in New York on and off for a bit. I'm doing my sales presentation on Sunday. If anybody wants to check it out, give me their opinion.
Cool.
No obligation, obviously. And it's great I like Space Command. I've seen the pilot. I saw all the mails that you sent out, and congratulations on doing it. I love the way you're able to handle the set. I'm actually doing a CG green screen set for the lab in my feature. And,
cool.
It's cool. And happy to connect with everybody.
Thanks. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. Welcome. What? Oh, is there anything you need, Hamza?
I mean, if anybody wants to join on Sunday, I'll send a Zoom link. It's for a half hour. Just I've got my team to kind of check it out. If anybody wants to give me their opinion, obviously there's no obligation.
Great.
It's a sci-fi thriller horror.
Cool.
Right.
Yay. 3 cheers. So, Adam, another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yeah. Moving on to Movie Inc., who that's spelled Moovy.
Sure, of course.
Movie Inc., who asks, what episode of Sci-Fi that you personally have written is your favorite?
The one I'm working on now. Because we're making it. Ripple Effect. But no, but seriously, I'm very proud of World Enough in Time, which is the Star Trek episode that we did with George Takei, that I co-wrote with Michael Reeves, and Elaine and I produced it and directed it. And I'm very proud of that. You can watch it in its entirety on Mr. Sci-Fi. It was nominated for the Hugo and the Nebula Awards and won the TV Guide Award. But there's tons of stuff that I've written that I really love. Far Beyond the Stars on DS9.
The one with your dad.
The Friday the 13th, an episode of Pipe Dream that I wrote. That's Friday the 13th, the series where that's about my dad. The Sliders episodes I wrote when I was a producer on that show. On and on, just tons of stuff. And even the real Ghostbusters episodes I wrote, I really enjoyed writing. So it's been a very fun career overall. I don't have a lot of complaints. I've written things that I'm very proud of. So okay, so now let's see, shall we do Andrew Gant? You're at the top of our screen. Go for it, Andrew.
Unmuting. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? I didn't get the earbuds in, so sometimes it's glitchy. First, thanks so much for letting me be a part of this. Jean St. James, hi Jean. She's an angel on earth. She's such a sweetheart, and she told me about it. And
cool.
So I'm really grateful to be here, first and foremost.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks. It's my mob cat. Like, buddy, what are you gonna do about this? You gotta get these guys out of here, and then we're gonna do another thing. The thing, the first thing and the second thing. Anyway, so my whole deal is I'm a show creator. I went to a ton of schools for acting and filmmaking, grad school for film and leadership communications, which translates to producing. Herbert Berghoff conservatories, and all of this stuff kind of culminated into being a show creator. I wanted to create something that was going to maximize my own skills as an actor and be challenging. And so I dove right in. It took a little while after getting to Hollywood to kind of get my feet wet and figure out what the local mores were about everything. And, so I did this show, and the show's called Hollywood Limo. I mentioned it last time.
Right.
It's a mockumentary like The Office, if it was like also Taxi, because it's set at a limousine company and it's got a mob element to it. It's really, that's all I'm about. I'm about that's all what I'm doing, and it's very focused. I'm not in a bunch of different places doing a bunch of different things. I'm very, very focused on this one particular project. I believe I know this is a horrible catchphrase, but I really do believe it's the best thing that I've ever done.
Cool.
I have 3 episodes that are fully written. I've got a full pitch packet. I just finished the pilot episode budget, and I probably within the next week or month or so will be getting more proactive, serious about pitching the project, because I have been developing all those materials and they're finally coming together.
Great.
Now.
Cool.
So are you shooting anything? I'm sorry, I missed that. Are you shooting any of it, like a sizzle reel or something?
I haven't shot anything in the production format. What I've done is because I wrote as a show creator, if you're familiar with the OA, which is on Netflix, the girl who wrote that actually starred in it. And so it was a real kind of watershed moment and a revelation for me, and as an example that I could do that too.
Yes.
So I wrote this show for me to perform in, and I have videos that are on my IMDb page. It's Andrew Casey 10. This is like 10 of us. 12, 40, but it's with the X in the parentheses. And if you go and look that up, and I could throw a link in maybe, there are 3 short videos. I don't have other videos. I've got some Shakespeare, and I've got some stuff. I did stuff with Jean, Don't Shoot Yourself, her production company. She did all of my self-taping. It was really good. But I pulled all that stuff down because I just want people to see me as the character for this particular show. I haven't been pitching myself out in the audition realms yet. I am SAG after equity. But I'm just not doing that. It's just a lot of energy to create a show. I'm sure Mark totally understand what it means to write. You have to go over lines 100 times.
Yeah.
So they sound right, et cetera, et cetera.
And spelling, my God.
And when it's mob, when it's like you're doing like the mob thing where it's the first thing and second thing, sometimes the spelling is just like, you don't even know it.
So
you're making up words.
So is there anything you need, Andrew?
I think maybe if people were interested in reading the pilot, people who had like Mr. Bartlett, like maybe you, because you have some real serious knowledge about this, Mr. Zakria, I'm sure you know. The budget has just been finished for the pilot, and there's a pilot script. And when you take those 2 things together, you go, is this the right amount of money for this particular project? Have I accounted for all of the heads? Have I have I accounted for the right amount of sound guys? I budgeted for Sunset Bronson Studios over here. They're charging me $45K for 9 days of shooting. There are walls that got to get dropped in, and I have to sketch out walls. So there's a number of things in a budget, and then there's a pilot script. I would love to get a second opinion from somebody to see whether or not those two things are matching up, or whether or not I've missed something. So that would be cool from anybody, even feedback from anybody. But if you have a particular knowledge of how to marry those two things together, that would be really helpful for me.
I could probably take a look at it, a fast look at it. I mean, I'm super busy right now, but I could probably help you out a little bit.
Cool.
Steer you the right way.
Anytime you have, and before I go, because I know we're all getting to the next thing here, I really appreciate that, David, and I'll send you whatever you need. If you guys need a hand with Space Command, whether it's volunteer or whatever, above and below the line, I've done a lot of stuff. I know how to do most of the stuff, and I just am looking to do things.
Great.
You know what I mean? In addition to this show.
Great.
So it's like,
terrific.
I'm at the point of pitching it now.
Yeah, well, David can be the point person on that as well, in terms of our volunteer staff people. So great. Well, 3 cheers, Andrew. Yay.
Thank you very much.
Now, before we move on to another Mr. Sci-Fi question, I should mention to everyone that I'm going to be a guest on Coast to Coast tomorrow night. Coast to Coast AM, which is one of the top-rated nighttime radio shows in the country. I'm going to be on from 10 p.m. to midnight Pacific time. And then I think they also archive it so one can listen to it later. But I'm on every few months, and I'll be talking about Space Command and all sorts of stuff. So it's going to be very fun. So be there or be a triangle. So okay, so great. So Adam, is there another question?
Yes. You may have answered this one before, but not tonight.
Okay.
This is from Jason Kitchens, who asks, what was your introduction to science fiction? What science fiction work has inspired you the most?
Sure. I was reading science fiction from as soon as I could read. My favorite book when I was 7 was Farmer in the Sky by Robert A. Heinlein. I actually made a little diorama in a shoebox of a scene from that book. And then as a kid, I was watching things like Lost in Space. And then when I was 10, Star Trek debuted. So Star Trek and Outer Limits and Twilight Zone were the 3 shows that made me want to be a writer. And I was reading voraciously in science fiction. My mom used to very regularly take me to used bookstores in Hollywood and Santa Monica, and you could buy paperbacks, used science fiction paperbacks, for like a dime. And so I would be given like $1 or $2, and I would just walk out with a stack of books like yay high. And so it was Asimov, Sturgeon, Heinlein, Arthur C. Clarke, Ray Bradbury, of course, Harlan Ellison. And so I was just, a sponge for all that stuff. And I noticed, of course, that the writers writing the books that I loved were also writing the TV shows that I loved. And so when I was a teenager, I went to the conventions, the science fiction conventions, and started meeting them. And they became friends and mentors. And that was invaluable. That was just the thrill of a lifetime. So great. So let's see. I guess Renee Miller, I guess you're next on our screen.
Thanks very much.
Sure.
Hi, I was invited by Dolores. I'm a writer and a creative director. I run a boutique advertising agency with my husband, Gary Bettman, who's a feature film producer, former feature film producer. And the reason that I'm on today is we have pitched and are working pro bono with a company called Chef's Feed. They're a media company similar to Eater to raise money for the restaurant industry. And we're planning to produce the world's biggest cocktail hour. It's going to be an online event sometime in June. And we are looking for a celebrity sponsor who is willing to work pro bono. So Dolores said, come to the group and see if maybe anybody has any thoughts. We've reached out to about 40 different agents, talking to everybody from Chrissy Teigen to agents of Chrissy Teigen, Kevin Bacon, Jon Favreau, Roy Choi, et cetera, and have not yet gotten anyone to say yes. So I thought I would just see if anyone here knows anybody and could help us out.
Well, also, by the way, everyone else should mute their mics. David, I notice your mic isn't muted, so that we don't have a lot of cross noise. Elaine, do you have any suggestions, any thoughts?
Well, the thing is that a lot of people want celebrity backing. Have you researched all of these targets to see what specifically in your approach and what you're doing would be of interest to them, given their background or things that they've said in interviews?
That's why we picked Chrissy Teigen and Kevin Bacon and John Favreau and Roy Choi, because they're all involved with the restaurant industry.
Right.
And the money we raise, because we're asking them to work pro bono, would go to their favorite restaurant charity. We really want to just help the industry and the workers in the industry.
Right.
And we think Chef Speed is willing to bring in some sponsors. They have some high-level sponsors, but the sponsors won't come in until we have an actual celebrity. So it's kind of
Right. Well, here's some things I would suggest. Also, Carol Field, I just noticed your mic isn't muted either, in case you might want to mute it. So here's several things I would mention. Now, are you exclusively going through the agents or managers? Is that how you're trying to reach these people?
That's how we tried so far.
Bad idea.
Which is not the best way.
Useless.
And we also try to reach them through social media, through their Twitter accounts, Facebook.
What I would suggest, what works for me, because I get a lot of name actors in what I do, I go through. First of all, I always try to meet people personally, which is where science fiction conventions are so useful. But also in lieu of that, I go through mutual friends. So thinking about, like, okay, who do we know, or who have we worked with who might be like one step removed from the people we're trying to get to? Because if you go through agents and managers, there's absolutely no reason for them to help you, none. And and so if you might hit a lucky bounce, like maybe one of them's got a nascent brain tumor and they're suddenly nice because of that. But the chemicals in their brains are making them unusually pleasant. But the problem is that particularly the agents just want to know what the money offer is, and so I would think very creatively in terms of connecting the dots. And also beyond that, I mean, a lot of people are at home, a lot of people are on social media, but again, if it's a named person, they're probably getting besieged with requests, and the problem is what's going to get them to pay attention to yours. So again, there always has to be something that works to cut you away from the herd. It's just it's strategic. And I mean, because you're in publicity, it's almost like thinking of yourself as the product, and what's going to be the call to action, or even the hook that's going to get them to pay attention to you. So that's where I would start, because otherwise you'll just get blown off. So that's what I would suggest.
So what is the just try and advertise the thing that is so cool. Where if somebody
the coolness factor is that we're going to be getting thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands if we get a big enough name, to come to the world's biggest cocktail party. And that's got a good PR angle. So we should be able to raise a lot of money and awareness.
Well, first thing is that you're depending on, you have to depend on more than their name. You want your product to draw a lot of people, but also when you say that the world's biggest cocktail party, that's like one sentence shy of being wonderful, right? So you've got the world's biggest cocktail party, but what's the angle? I'd like to be able to have a sense of, oh, I'm going to walk in there and it's going to be so cool, because it's not going to be just a cocktail party. It's going to be this particular.
It's actually, now that you ask, it's Chef Speed is going to be bringing in mixologists. We have a couple of possible musicians through Warner Brothers. We have a contact at Warner Brothers, a couple of young musicians. We're going to be sharing recipes so that they can learn how to make alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. They'll be able to participate through the chat box. I mean, we've got all the descriptions. In fact, I have a pitch deck, and I also have a pitch letter. So we've got a lot of the materials already crafted.
Yeah. And Renee, just I missed this detail. Why are you doing it?
because I really want to give back. We do a lot of work with the food industry, and we
see.
want to give back. And
I see.
We went to Chef's Fee because they're already doing something similar,
Mm-hmm.
but not as big. They're doing individual classes for people,
Right.
and then they're donating the money to the industry. So
Sure.
we thought, instead of doing something small like that, let's just blow it out and do it big. And they have a good reputation.
What I would suggest you do is look over the last 2 months and June as well as to who has had a book or a movie come out where they haven't been able to promote it the normal ways they would have. Because they're looking to bang the drum for like their book or for their movie or for their TV show or whatever, where they need publicity. And so that might work. Obviously, it would have to be someone who already is a named person. But for one thing, you can reach out to the publisher, to their PR department. You can reach out to that person's. You should be going through publicists, not through managers, because the publicist sees the advantage of publicity, whereas the manager or the agent might not. So so that's what I would suggest.
And if I may suggest a different idea as
Mm-hmm.
well, which is what I've seen. Another way you can get to them is through their fans. And their fans, so if you appeal to that person's fans and say, how cool would it be if they hosted this thing? Go bombard them with,
on social media.
On social media, yeah. So like on Twitter, if they're getting like 1,000 tweets from other people saying, "Do host this thing, it's really cool," they'll contact you.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Great. Anything else?
No, that's it. It looks like David might have had. I'm not sure if his hand's up to give ideas.
Dave,
would it be helpful if I just put my email in the chat and phone number, and if anybody has any additional.
Sure. Great.
Okay,
Terrific.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Mark, we have your book right here. By
Yay!
the way.
Highly recommended. So 3 cheers. Thank you. So Adam, another Mr. Sci-Fi question, perhaps?
Yeah, let's move on to our next one.
Great.
Ooh, interesting one. Speaking of celebrities, Wilhelm Sowers asks, why do people idolize celebrities?
Well, I think it's because TV and film are empathy machines when they're done right. And so you deeply, deeply emotionally identify with the main character, whether it's Kirk or Spock or Ripley in Aliens or whomever. And so you gain, and from movie to movie, role to role, you're invested in that person, whether it's Brad Pitt or whomever. And so I think that's one of the reasons. But obviously, each of us have celebrities that we're excited about and celebrities that we could care less about, and celebrities who we avoid their movies when we see that they're in them. So, but I
think part of it is the whole larger than life thing where they're actually visible.
Yes.
And many of us feel rather invisible, which is, I think, a pretty unfortunate cultural twist we have going, but and so just listening to each other is a great gift. But I think it's that we don't feel adequate and don't understand that the people with the cameras on them all the time also do not feel adequate. But I think it's this larger than life with musical accompaniment and really good lighting, vision of who they are.
Yes, and so that's some of it. So let's see. So David,
I think
wait.
Perhaps we should
what?
Jump down to.
Jim. Michelle has a hand up. Hang on, Michelle has a hand up.
No, I was just thinking that a lot of people say that we idolize celebrities in this country because we don't have royalty.
That's true.
It's true.
That's true. But
we might want to jump to Mike and Jim.
Mike and Jim. Okay,
Jim has trouble
sure.
staying up.
Yeah, go for it, Mike.
Hi.
Mike Lopez, go for it.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Well, my name is Mike Lopez. Don't need a whole lot right now.
Okay.
I just finished filming a short film. We wrapped today, starring James Metropole.
Yay!
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Yeah, it's called The Last Soldier.
Cool.
He had a real blast.
Good.
Acting. It was really great.
Mm-hmm.
He did a good job. So as soon as I get it all edited up with some music, I'll post it and everybody can look and see.
That's great.
Great. Okay. Well, great. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. Thank you, Mike.
Yay.
Congratulations. So, another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam.
It looks like I skipped over this one.
Oh, look out.
Cleophas McDonald asks, I would like to hear your thoughts on the Fox show Fringe. It's seldom spoken of as if it never happened. One of the greatest shows ever written, in my humble opinion. Space Command rocks.
Thanks. I watched very little of Fringe. I watched enough of it to think it was really an interesting show. And it was one of those shows that I intended to get into eventually, but I just never got around to it. But one funny aside is that when I won the Saturn Award, I gave a very moving speech, which is included at the end of the documentary On the Table that was done a few years ago. And the old guy who was one of the leads, he came up and he said, I was really moved by your speech. So that was very nice. And I thought, well, I should work with that guy. So thanks for reminding me, because he's also in Lord of the Rings.
John Noble?
Yes, it was John Noble. Yeah, we should make a note. We should make a note that I should reach out to him, because I could put him in Space Command easily, or Sweet Haven. So I should definitely do that. He's also in Lord of the Rings. He's great in that. And I don't know what he's doing lately, but I could definitely,
He keeps appearing. He was in Sleepy Hollow and many other shows over the past few years.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Well, I'll have to look him up. So okay, great. So I guess Jacob, I guess you're next.
Wait, David, is he still there?
Oh, David, David Bartlett? Are you there? Are
you there?
He's off the screen.
No. David?
So let's do Jacob, and then we'll see if David comes back.
Okay, hi everybody.
There he is. Yeah. Hi, Jacob.
So I don't need anything, but I do want to find out what's happening in LA. I need to get back there at some point.
Oh,
I hear it's opening up a little bit.
It's lovely here.
Are you guys still kind of going back to normal?
No, it's not normal. They are starting to open stuff up again, but very, 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 very slowly. Everyone has to wear masks when they go out. It's still very much COVID conscious, let us say.
What about restaurants? What about meetings outside of Zoom or coffee? Nothing like that still?
You can go to we got our lunch by wearing a mask and going to the doorway of a cafe.
Right.
And grabbing some takeout.
Right. So the parks aren't open. The hiking trails are starting to open, but most stuff is still closed down. You see
starting to like
right.
edge open a little bit, but
right.
But by and large, it's still shut down.
Yes.
For good reason. I mean, the numbers are just not there yet.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
But it's terrible for the little businesses. That's.
Yeah, the little businesses are getting hurt bad.
Yeah. And that is so much the lifeblood of our social, environment.
And that's the cutest thing over there on the streets. You've got these really nice restaurants and different places you can go to for lunch, for dinner, and get out.
Yes, but the real question is what's going to survive. We'll see. So many of them are being hit really hard. So, Jacob, did you have anything else you needed or wanted to add?
No, I'm good. Everything's cool. Just a little bit of a communication lag with what's happening, but everything is moving.
Okay, 3 cheers. Yay. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question? Then we'll do David Bartlett.
Who's back?
Yeah, he's back.
Let's... Larry Lee asks the age-old question: when is the next Space Command episode?
Well, that's a really great question. As you know, we've shot the first 3 hours, and we were ramping up to shoot the 4th hour of the 12-hour season when the pandemic hit. But we're still building sets. We're still building the creatures. We're still in post on hour 2, moving through it, completing the visual effects. But in the meantime, during the pandemic, I had the idea of doing an episode with all of our actors shooting their own scenes in their own homes with their own cameras, and everyone said yes. And so we've now got what's going to be a 2-hour episode with just a huge number of named stars, and that we're going to debut on June 20th during the online all day long Space Command live streaming convention. And so we're going to show the first hour again, and then we're going to premiere Ripple Effect. and that's the new episode, and it's going to be super cool. So instead of it being a 12-hour season, it's going to be a 14-hour season ultimately, and that's very, very exciting. And we've got, you know, all the stars that you love who are in the pilot, but also more than that, we've got tons of other ones, Armin Shimmerman and J.G. Hertzler, and, you know, gosh, I mean, who else? Christina Moses, and just everyone I asked said yes. Nichelle Nichols is in it. On and on. Barbara Bain. It's going to be great. So thanks. So David, I guess you're up. Go for it.
Sure.
There he is.
So I'm David Bartlett. I am a filmmaker, a teacher, and a human rights activist, and one of the producers of Space Command.
Yay!
Also head of visual effects and head of casting and head of quite a few things. At this point, including the upcoming convention.
Yeah, and you're also you're in the new episode in what I personally
in the Ripple Effect episode.
And I think it's great. It's great. Well, his scene in Ripple Effect is my personal favorite of all the scenes. He just is. You could call him the Laurence Olivier of Space Command. He's just the performance he turns in is so natural and realistic, and his co-stars in the scene are, again, just unforgettable. So you're going to have quite a treat when you see what he does.
My costume alone is worthwhile.
Yes. But the dramatic stylings of David Bartlett are unparalleled. So, but go ahead, please.
Right. So anyway, if people want to help with Space Command, they can. There are things that you can do at home. I'm also doing some very minimal work in the studio with set construction in a very contained environment with just a couple of people. So if anybody has any experience there, that's definitely something we could help with. I could have help with right now. And I'm doing a ton of crowdfunding fulfillment, which if you don't know what that is, if someone goes to a Kickstarter and contributes some money, they get a t-shirt or a mug or whatever, or a DVD or a Blu-ray or any number of things. Someone has to get that to them. And that is me. So I need lots of help doing that. I've got the wonderful Christine Laurie helping me a great deal, and it's just a very daunting task. So if anyone wants to help doing that, it's very simple. Certain things are simple. It's you help out with getting things together, organize things, packing materials, things like there's all different kinds of things involved with that.
Great. So
if you're interested in set construction or with fulfillment, those are both areas I need help with right now.
Great.
I'm also gearing up to do budgeting and scheduling of the new Space Command shoot, and I've just finished a shooting script and a strip board for the new shoot that's going to happen as soon as this pandemic subsides enough to the Screen Actors Guild allow people to go back to shooting. We're going to jump right on that. So if you want help with that, I'm prepping for that too. So on a personal note, I made my first film when I was 10 years old. I started working almost right away when I moved to Hollywood in 1980. And I worked with James Cameron as the set carpenter in New World Pictures. And I worked with Robert Wise, who did West Side Story and The Sound of Music and was the editor of Citizen Kane. And I worked in sound design doing films like Pulp Fiction and Speed and Total Recall and a lot of films like that. Then I got into independent films, getting back to my roots, making my own films, where I've now won 64 Film Festival Awards. So I'm kind of well-versed in pretty much all areas of filmmaking, except I've never done any hairstyling, can you tell? And I should not be the person that plugs in the generator either. That's a gapper who's experienced person.
Yes.
But I've done pretty much everything else.
Cool.
Yeah, I made a little film called I Am the Flag starring Jimmy Weldon. And the big news is this week we just crossed 500,000 views. So I'm very excited about that. And so is Jimmy. So now what I need to do is I need to do a big push to get people subscribing. Subscribers to the channel mean that I can monetize it and get him money through his charity to help him give education of patriotism back to school children and also to get it out to the military better. So I'm really dedicated to doing that.
Cool.
If y'all want to log on to YouTube and check out the film, you can subscribe. That would be helpful. And I'm going to send out a table email and all that stuff too.
Great.
That's kind of it. I mean, that's a lot, but it's you know, it kind of covers it. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's got it. So great. Terrific. Yeah. 3 chairs. Yay.
Anyone that wants to help, davefilms@hotmail.com, DAVEFILMS @hotmail.com. And, you know, all these folks that are up on the screen right now, they all know how to reach me too.
Great.
Mark away.
Yay. Terrific. So another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Well, let's see. It's not necessarily a question, but Mark Lungo is asking you to tell us about Knife Through the Veil.
Yeah, that's when they brought Twilight Zone back on CBS in the late '80s. I sold them a script called "Knife Through the Veil," which was about a woman whose family is killed by an intruder, and he is killed in the police chase, the intruder, and she pursues him in the afterlife to get vengeance. And it's a really good script. And a week before prep, my friend Doug Hayes, who directed Eye of the Beholder and After Hours and The Howling Man on the original Twilight Zone, was going to direct it. And a week before prep, the CBS censors pulled it because they felt it was too hard-edged. Now it wouldn't be anything. There wouldn't be censorship. But over the years, I tried to make it. I wrote a role for Armin Shimmerman in it. Katie Sackhoff wanted to do it at one point. Just haven't gotten around to making it. But the plan is someday we will make it. And in fact, I've put it together as the pilot episode of a new show I want to do called Rod Serling's After Twilight, that Rod would narrate from dictation belts that have been found. They thought they were all lost. Rod used to dictate his scripts and letters and everything, and he had an incredibly distinct verbal style when talking. And we were going to take beginning and ending narrations from that material, and then do an anthology series very much in the vein of Twilight Zone, in the spirit of Twilight Zone. And just haven't gotten around to that one yet. But definitely, I've been in conversation with Rod's family, whom I know very well, and we'll see what happens. Time will tell. So great. So I guess yeah.
It looks like Paul Dove has signed on from the UK, so we might want to.
Great. Hi, Paul. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
cool. Okay.
Then we can do Arena, who's in New York. So Paul, go for it. Yeah, you bet.
Hi. Sorry I missed last week.
Okay.
I actually sat here ready to click the button and I fell asleep.
That's okay. That's okay. George Nuri, who hosts the Coast to Coast radio show that goes from 10 p.m. to like the wee hours of the morning, told me that he was once live on the air interviewing a guest, and suddenly he heard snoring, and the guest had fallen asleep underneath his table. So, there are worse hells.
Well, Paul, now you can doze off here like everyone else.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I've been really working hard. For those people who don't know me, my name's Paul Dove. I'm an agent and also I'm an actor. I live in Liverpool in the UK. And I've been looking at the ways the industry is going in the future. And I've just been revamping the website, pauldove.com. It's nearly complete, and it's going to be like a white pages of everyone in the industry, whether you're an electrician, scriptwriter, or whatever. You'll be able to log on, fill out a form, and it's going to be like £12 or $12 a year to be on the website. And so if you need to get hold of a director or an actor or electrician or whatever, you just search for them and you can deal with them direct instead of going through agents. Because I think agents are going to sort of die a death because the industry is changing so much. You're not going to want to pay that extra 20%. And the way this virus is, I think it's going to be around for another 18 months. So things are going to be, I mean, I'm due to come out to Los Angeles in September. We can't fly out to LA at the minute because you've got to quarantine them for 2 weeks.
Right.
So for me to come out for 2 weeks, it's going to take me 6 weeks. 2 weeks quarantine there, 2 weeks in LA, and then 2 weeks quarantine when I come back.
Wow.
So things are changing. And by the way, Elaine and Mark, I love the picture last week. I think we were on the settee and you both standing up like that. Elaine, seeing a mouse.
It was fun. It was fun.
So
yeah.
There's nothing I need at the moment, but really enjoy coming to the meetings.
Great. Well, thank you, Paul. Great. Lovely. So another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yeah. Let's go to our next question is also from Movie Inc., who asks, what are your top 5 or so sci-fi shows that you would recommend?
Wow. The original Twilight Zone, of course. The original Star Trek, of course. The original Outer Limits, of course, which is, if you've never seen that, it's a great show. I think Ron Moore's Battlestar Galactica is terrific. I like the first season of Westworld, but it's been downhill since then. What else do I like? Anything else that occurred to you?
Well, as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Let me think about my friends. I think The Expanse is a really good show. I really think they've done a good job with that. My friends Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby and Narain Shankar run that show, and it's well done. That's sort of a handful. I'll think of more as we talk further. So, it's got a lot of great stuff. So, okay, so let's see. So I guess Arena, if you want to check in, and I know you're in New York. If you're there, yeah, there you are. Hi.
Hi, Rena. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hi.
Well, it's interesting. I think we are gradually in the process of reopening.
Mm-hmm.
So,
good.
Quick question for you, just to follow up the question that you were asked.
Yes.
What do you think about X-Files?
X-Files, I was never able to get into it. I met Chris Carter, and he told me that The Twilight Zone Companion was a big influence on him. He loved The Twilight Zone, and he seemed like a really nice guy. Interestingly enough, he was a surfer, and he broke into the industry writing. He could write young people very, very well, and so he broke in kind of writing these surfing kind of TV shows, and then they got a pilot deal, and they said, what would you like to do? And they thought he was going to say he'd like to do a surfing kind of show about young people, and instead he said, well, I have this idea for X-Files, and that totally threw them because it wasn't like anything he'd written before for them. So, but then of course it turned out to be a success. Again, it's sort of like, because I make television, watching TV shows is usually work. When Elaine and I are relaxing, we'll watch a movie, but not a TV show. Now, of course, there's so many TV shows, there's no way to stay current with everything. But X-Files, I knew some of the people who worked on it. Frank Spotnitz is a friend, and he was the showrunner on that show eventually. But I just haven't ever really found the way in where I get what's going on. I find it not my thing, really. Sort of a roundabout answer, but that's, yeah.
Well, for me, X-Files is kind of what Ellen did for me, in the movie department.
Yes.
X-Files did it for me in TV.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, that was just amazing. When I saw the first episode of X-Files, I could not comprehend why a feature-length film ended in 1 hour.
Huh.
Because I've never seen that quality production value on TV before.
That's great.
So
that's
it
great.
just comes to show.
Yes, that's terrific.
Yeah, and I think, it's interesting because Chris Carter, that's his life work. He started writing stories, right, when he was a teenager. He was collecting, all this weird stuff that was happening, and it became X-Files. So go figure.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So,
anyway, I've been busy, still putting together promotional materials. Primarily was working on the posters for the series.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, this week I'm pretty much wrapping up all the prep. So next week I'm going to start gradually putting everything out and building the momentum. So that should be interesting.
Great.
And also with my friend in LA, who you met when we went to the meeting last summer, we have 3 series that we're developing. And one, we actually just changed things up, and we figured out how to do it literally like either over Zoom or imitate Zoom setup. It's a really funny comedy. We doing readings now, so we're testing, see getting the feedback. But it's looking good. It seems like it's really, really funny. And I'm curious, like how realistically right now, because I know everyone is looking for content. So, and this is something that we can, put together very quickly. What realistically are the chances of actually selling something like this?
I don't know. I mean, people say they must be looking for content. That's not what I'm hearing. So I don't know. I mean, it's always about somehow, it's like selling anything. It's like selling shoe polish. It's like convincing them that this is what they need, whoever them is. And it's finding out, okay, who's the decision maker? How do I get on their radar? How do I get them to say yes? How do I convince them? These are all the same eternal questions of selling anything. So I think I would start by saying, okay, who do you want to sell to? And then it's like, okay, who do you need to reach out to. It's just it becomes, again, a strategic campaign. People often think that creating the work is all that's required. That's not the case at all. It's a completely different job from actually selling the work. So I know that's not much of an answer. I don't know, anything you wanted to say, Elaine?
Well, just that it's sort of like doing crowdfunding. You have to know it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
If you know it's hard, you'll have a much better time. If you think it's going to be easy, it can really knock you back.
Yeah.
But if you say, basically, you say, this is a campaign of war.
Mm-hmm.
I have to divine my targets. I have to, divine how I'm going to get to those targets and how I'm going to influence those targets.
Yes.
If you see it as a plan of war, you have a much better chance.
Yes.
Knowing that they're flooded with material, and if you see the right person for your particular voice to really find the best possible ways and the best possible avenues to get to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, anything else, Serena?
Well, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, great. Yay. 3 cheers. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
There is, but it looks like Dolores DeLuce needs to leave soon. So if we could go to her.
Okay, you bet. Absolutely. Go for it, Dolores.
Right. Hi, everyone. I haven't been to a table meeting in a really long time. I have no excuse I don't have to drive over the hill now. So
yes.
Here I am. I brought Renee, and that's why I wanted to make sure I was here.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to check in. I am an actor and a writer. And I have a couple projects that I'm trying to move forward that are really a passion. One of them is a TV pilot that I wrote and I've done the pitch deck for. And I was just kind of like, after the last draft, I really was like ready to get it out there and didn't really, COVID hit and I didn't know what to do. So just this weekend, I did a table read with some really good actors playing all the roles, including me playing the role that I wrote for myself in the pilot. Of course, one of the leads. And it went pretty well considering I had great actresses. I thought I casted it really well. And I but everybody was fairly reading cold, and so it was a little rough, but it was good. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I had anticipated. So now I'm at this place of, okay, what do I do now? I really don't know how to forward the development of this. Is there anything I could do with the table read if I edited it? Is that something that you could? I have the recording of it. Is that something that you could send to people? Because obviously I'm not in a place to set up a production of a scene right now.
Right.
Restrictions and everything.
Well, but a cold table read is good informationally for you as a writer, but I don't think unless it like really takes off, it's not a very good selling tool.
Yeah.
I mean, I love.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I love those things because things that I think aren't going to work, and things that I think are really clear. No one can figure out what the hell I'm talking about. Things like that. It's extremely helpful because when you're that close to something, you get lost in your own head, or I do.
Yes,
I do.
Yes.
Well, so that's where it's helpful, but it's not good as a selling tool until I do the polish based on that of things that didn't fly, and then I get people who are really going to rehearse and then there are several different things that you can do with that in terms of it being an animatic or drawings or just anything to take it off the page. But it has to be really polished to a fairly well. That you have to put in the work to get the great goodies.
Originally, I did it with the intent of just for me to hear my words, read by good actors. And it was very helpful in that way. And I got some very good feedback. And my entire cast of actors are also really great writers. So I was very fortunate to get great feedback and all of that. And, but I'm just at a point now where I'm kind of bored. I never thought I'd see the day when I miss driving in traffic to auditions.
Yes.
My agent today, I said, I'll never complain again about having to go to an audition in the Valley at 4.
Right.
Well, try and get yourself re-excited.
Yes.
When it comes to,
it's kind of dull. Oh, sorry, I can't hear whoever's speaking.
Oh, sorry, it's Elaine. It's Elaine.
It went out.
It's very hard to start a rewrite, but you might want to, something that might keep you from being bored is to really look toward what people say and take some time to let it simmer. And for me, like the fifth or sixth draft, that's where it gets really exciting, because things that I didn't know were there, I find, and there start to be that connective tissue in those really sensitive moments. And so if you just look toward, I mean, when I first hear a note, I'm saying, oh my God, that's impossible. That's just too big. It would tear up the floorboards. And then the next morning, I'm usually saying, wait a minute. No, I just have to do this, and that would be really cool.
Yes.
So if you let it like sort of simmer in your mind and think, this, I have something I'm really proud of, but I think I can make it a lot better, a lot richer. And give yourself a little time to get reconnected to the material. I think you may work yourself out of boredom.
Yeah, I think I had just done a rewrite like that I got notes from a very gifted A-list writer, you know, and I took all of his suggestions and did a major rewrite. So that's kind of why I wanted to hear it, you know.
That's great.
And I did get good feedback that I will, you know, I need to sit with something for a while before I jump back in.
Of course,
I definitely, will do that.
Okay.
But I'm so glad you guys are still here hanging in.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to leave, but I'll come back now that I know I don't have to drive.
Great. Okay, great. Well, 3 cheers. Yay.
Guys, thank you. Bye.
And one thing I do want to say about, because this issue has come up tonight, is the question of, how do I sell things? How do I sell movies? How do I sell TV shows? A great way to learn that, because it's a changing market, is to do a podcast, to do a book, to do a series of articles, to do a documentary on that subject, because it gives you the ability to interview people who are the buyers. And so you don't pitch to them during those interviews, but it tells you what works and what doesn't, what they're looking for and what they're not looking for. It really can be essentially a graduate school in that subject, and it also forges connection. And now that everyone is stuck at home, they have time. So making a list of where you want to sell and who the executives are, and then just starting to go on social media and say, hey, I'm doing this podcast, I'm doing this book, I'm doing this documentary, I'm doing blah, blah, blah. Somebody's going to say yes. And then once you get one of them who says yes, then you can connect the other ones up, because you say, hey, I just interviewed this executive from Netflix and I'd like to talk to you because you're at Amazon. And that's a great way to
good idea.
Yeah, it'll work. So great. So Adam, is there another
thank you. Bye guys.
You bet. Bye. So Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, we have Devin Slayton, who I think he's new. I don't think I've heard of him.
Oh, cool.
Him on here before, so this is great.
Great.
He asks, how can I break into the sci-fi acting community
when
I only have only 17 years singing in Phoenix, Arizona's gay men's show chorus?
Well,
I've had numerous acting roles, but never thought to create a resume.
Okay, well, certainly the gay men's chorus is the quickest way in. So no, the real answer is get specific. What actors do you love? What directors? What showrunners? Who's doing the work that you really admire? The great part is that these people go to science fiction conventions. Now, they aren't doing that now because everyone's at home, but they are on social media, quite a lot of them. And so, but also when the pandemic's over, you have to move to where they hire. So again, that's a big part of it. They're not going to come searching for you. They're going to, they want to have people come to them. And another way of doing it, of course, is making something that is really cool, and then people dig it and so forth. But the way I broke in was just, going to where my idols were and meeting them, and it led to me breaking into television via Michael Reeves, a friend of mine who was a teaching assistant at a class taught by Theodore Sturgeon, who was one of the great science fiction writers. And I took that class, and Ted became a mentor, and Michael Reeves became a good friend, and he brought me into television. So
that was because he had evidence. He'd done a lot of writing.
Me, you mean? Yeah.
Yes. He started with interviews, and one interview led to another interview. But in terms of an actor, you ain't got nothing if you ain't got the evidence.
Yes.
So anything you can do to
create the roles.
Create the role,
shoot stuff.
Shoot something. It can be small, but it just has to be heartfelt.
A great minute is better than 2 hours of mediocre material.
Yeah. Just and again, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be histrionic. But you have to look in the camera, and I have to absolutely, believe what you're saying, and help me
Yep.
feel what you're feeling,
Yep.
and help me feel connected to that emotion, so you and I both feel less alone. We're connected.
Yep.
So the more you can connect at a profound level with all the layerings, the better off, the better off you are. The thing that gets those people awry is
Right.
where they just play one layer. Like if I'm angry, I'm just angry, or if I'm sad, I'm just sad, rather than I'm angry but I'm afraid to lose you, and I feel partially responsible, and there I go again. Now I'm giving you an excuse when I'm always putting myself down. Why am I? In other words, you have to get all the layerings of what happens when you're really angry or when you're really sad, and just help me join you there. And if you can do a few pieces like that, that's extraordinarily helpful in having other people help you.
Yeah. So let's see. We're looking.
Susan Flakes needs to leave.
Great. Go for it, Susan. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you mentioned Barbara Bain. I worked with her in LA. I love her.
Oh, great.
And now I'm thinking of her for a role.
Oh, good.
I wouldn't have thought that, but she could really do that. But anyway, what exactly are you doing with her? What is she doing in Space
she's
Command?
playing a role in Space Command. She's playing the great aunt of one of the characters, and she's also going to be a police chief in Sweet Haven, which is the new show I'm creating with Rockne O'Bannon, where there's we actually came up with this before the pandemic. There's a disease that gets out of hand, an engineered disease, and it kills everyone in the world under 60. So all the people 60 and older have to figure out how to save the world when they can't reproduce. And so it has Barbara Bain and Robert Picardo and Mira Furlan, and I've written a role for George Takei, and all sorts of actors. Good friends are in it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So but go ahead.
That sounds great. She might not have time for me.
but go on,
I
Susan.
want to check it out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But also on my historical biopic with very famous lady, she wrote the best slave narrative ever written by a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And also in my film is Frederick Douglass, he wrote the best slave narrative for a man.
Mm-hmm.
And bringing these people to life and giving them to the world is great. But it's not easy getting in touch with people. Finally, I've gotten around the gatekeepers, and I am getting right into some of the people, but they don't get back to me. They're so busy, they don't always get back to me quite as much as I'd like them to do, faster, quicker. Also, I wanted to know if anybody knows, I'm looking for an African-American senior producer and an African-American director. If anybody can think of those people. I'm asking a lot of African Americans that question too. So I'm putting it out there as much because I want to find just the right person.
Yes.
To do the directing and just the right person to be a senior producer. I have a producer, but we will need somebody even better than we are to do a lot of good thinking.
Well, part of that is just watch a whole bunch of current films and take down names. I mean, whenever I wanted to add somebody to my list, I would just look at everything that was playing and sample it, and I would try and steal from the credits, whether it was independent or larger. So you say, oh, that guy's really great, or how did he get that reputation? He really stinks. So part of it is to find somebody that you feel is sensitive to your kind of material and you like what he or she does. Just say, we're on the same beam. That works for me, which is extremely important. Now, in terms of them taking forever to get back to you, yes, they are very busy. Both Mark and I are relentless.
Yeah.
And we, we don't keep nagging, but we keep finding new approaches.
Yeah, nudging is kind of a word we've been using.
Ways to seduce, ways to be of interest,
right.
That kind of thing.
Well, also, see, at this stage, because I'm able to raise money and I'm also able to cast name actors, I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting for anybody to give me permission at all. I'm making stuff. I mean, when the pandemic hit and we were all in lockdown, I didn't see that. I saw it as a challenge, but I also saw it as an enormous opportunity. And immediately, Elena and I sat down, wrote a new episode of Space Command, reached out to our actors because they were all at home. And so it was a cornucopia. And so now we've got this 2-hour episode we didn't have 4 weeks ago.
Well,
it didn't exist 4 weeks ago.
It wasn't quite immediate. Mark gave me the idea, told me the idea, and I went, what?
Yeah.
Better he talking you into it the way he does.
Well, but also you came up with the idea that it would be Spoon River anthology, essentially, where the characters would be talking about revealing their inner landscapes, and so and then Dave Edison, and David Bartlett, they've been aboard for the ride, and it's been great fun. So so cool. And so anything else, Susan? Anything else you need?
Well, right now I'm starting to write a sci-fi, since that seems to be something people are excited about now.
Yes,
Now,
they
historical is hard.
Yes.
A sci-fi is going to be more fun. It's called the Minoan Connection. I don't know if you know about Manoa. That was on Crete.
Sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
And now I have a space colony with people from Manoa redoing Manoa.
Well, sure, it could happen.
So I'm having a great time now in sci-fi as I struggle through historical.
Great.
Okay,
Terrific.
good.
Well, 3 cheers. Yay.
Thank you.
So do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
It was like a historical sci-fi. Moving on to Gregory Krug, who asks, do you have a favorite Joker? Like Heath Ledger?
Yeah,
Phoenix,
definitely,
Cesar Romero?
definitely Heath Ledger. I think he's brilliant in the role, and that's the only reason I even watched that movie. There's so many goofy things in that movie, but he's spectacular. So
We bought the DVD
just because of his performance,
so we could speed through to him.
Yes,
and not
and watch
have to
his
watch
stuff.
the rest of the movie
Right.
again.
Exactly. No, he's phenomenal. So that's my favorite Joker. Absolutely. So let's see. I guess Judith Smiley, if you can come down. Yeah, I know you're on the International Space Station and floating around, but yeah, tell us what's going on. Can you unmute?
Judith, can you unmute?
She's trying. There you go.
Okay.
You got
I
it.
never give that background. From Montreal, I was a child star. By the time I was 12, I had 2 TV shows and 3 radio shows. Came to New York, studied with Sandy Meisner, did Broadway, did off-Broadway, owned a recording studio with my ex-husband, produced a lot of very high-end industrial films, so I'm not a neophyte when it comes to production. Was one of the top voiceover ladies in New York, and now I'm here. I must admit, I have been a bad girl this week. Thank you all for your good wishes on my birthday. I'm such a baby. Between sugar and wine, I'm so hanged over. I haven't been able to do a lick of work, and I am truly upside down. But next week, I have a couple of meetings, and I'm getting things together. I have some pitch stuff.
Great.
My microphone is on the way.
Great.
So as soon as it gets here, I have some stuff written for my voiceover demo. I will send it to my friends in Chicago. He has a recording studio. So we're going to mix it via Zoom or by phone. And that'll be done. I'm really annoyed about this pandemic because I can't do my demo. Really annoying.
Okay.
But I suppose I could do part of it. And I will. What else? A whole bunch of stuff, but I just had a glass of wine, so I'm upside down.
Okay.
As I said, thank you so much for all your support and just everything. It's not over yet. I have another party tomorrow.
Oh wow!
Do you know they opened up my pool?
Wow.
Really?
Jesus.
They opened it up.
Huh.
They have to. I spoke to the super. He said he got a letter from the health department that it was okay, but you can't have more than 10 people in it.
No.
Yes, I read about that. They said it doesn't travel through water that has been appropriately chlorinated.
No.
But if you get too close to somebody else and they cough or sneeze on you, you still have a problem.
Yes.
In the
well,
pool.
I can go early in the morning because I've got to get some exercise. With all the cake I've been eating, I look like Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
You know, I tell you.
Right.
All right. Thank you for everything.
Of course.
I'll be back next week when I'm a little more coherent.
Okay.
I have something to report because I've got a couple of meetings and stuff that I have to get out.
Okay, great. Well, 3 cheers. Yay.
I'm going to go now because I'm a little 3 sheets to the wind.
Okay, that's fine. So
I'm going to go put the cappy down.
okay. So Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. A question from Dave Lee, who asks, when is Space Command going to let me press a button on film?
What? When is Space Command going to let him press a button on film? Right. Oh, I see. You mean for your on-screen role? Soon. We're going to just keep making Space Command. My plan is to shoot the entire season this year, and so
I believe there is a lot of there were a lot of perks
Yes.
in
Yeah.
the recent campaigns.
Yeah.
Where
And
you could.
absolutely. And so we have a couple of cameos in the new episode, but we're going to continue that. So it'll definitely be coming up. Absolutely. Okay, great. So I guess according to my screen here, David Sonnenschein, go for it.
Hi, it's been a while.
Yes.
And it's wonderful to catch up. I've moved actually into a career of interactive games.
Huh, wow.
It's very different world.
Yes.
And specifically, I've created a program called Sing and Speak for Kids, which is using my background as a sound designer, musician, and neuroscientist to help children with autism learn how to speak through song.
Wow.
And so it's putting together all of my fascinating interests into something really practical. We've been funded by the U.S. Department of Education for Small Business Innovative Research, and been about 5 years in development on this program, and bringing it out to schools and clinics, and working mostly in Southern California. But it's a program that, guess what? It's distance learning. It's telehealth. It's all those things that everybody all of a sudden has been pushed into. And it's really remarkable how we are just primed and ready to offer this to the whole world. So we're super excited. I don't have any asks, but I'm just really thrilled to share what we're doing. And it's been a long journey, and we're still halfway to really making it a difference in the world with it.
That's great.
That's great.
That's great. Well, that's swell.
Anybody who wants to check it out, just go to our website. It is Sing and Speak for the number 4 kids.com. And we have a great little promo video. I mean, I'm taking my filmmaking skills all the way into everything that I do as well. And so we've got a couple minute promo there that you can all watch and take a look at it. And anybody that would like to actually try it out, we're still offering it just to test cases, and so you can register for it and let me know who you are, so I can approve you getting into the system and trying the whole thing out. It's been a wonderful ride into IT and games and neuroscience and special education and all of those things. So
that's great.
Anybody who has an interest, please take a look.
Great. Well, cheers. Yay. So another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes, but before I forget, because he needs to go soon, Kushik hasn't gone, and he's missed a couple weeks.
Sure, you bet. Go for it.
I want to make sure he gets.
Of course, go for it.
Hi everyone, good to see you all after a long time.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you. So I'm a writer and actor, and I mainly focus in comedy. And I started directing as well. I was in a direction class at LSCC. Right, like we had to make 3 short films, so we made our first one, and Adam was one of the characters in my short. And the day I finished my editing at the LSCC lab, from the very next day, the whole state got into lockdown.
Oh God, how awful!
So the entire class moved online, but the problem is that like you can take the lectures and everything online, but you cannot really make anything going out right now. Like to do anything, any good production, it's just impossible. Nobody would work with you, and you also cannot go out on this like outside. So our teachers were saying that just like for the sake of the class, make something at home. And I didn't really want to do that because it's not about the degree for me. I wanted to learn how to make films, and in that process, use the facilities and resources LSCC has, so that I can make some good short films and then put them into film festivals. So I decided to drop out of the class. I'm hoping to go back in fall, and hopefully things will be better than now in the fall, and there will be no lockdown, and I can make like 2 more films and finish the class. But during this lockdown period, I wrote a sci-fi comedy screenplay called Mission FU Coronavirus. It's about a bunch of scientists. They decide that this is the way we can get ahead of the virus. The virus is gonna spread throughout the world and infect every single person. The only way we can get ahead of the virus is if we infect people before the virus does.
Okay.
And according to their theory, that if it's an imaginary fiction, that when the virus is channeling through them and they are infecting people, not seriously ill people are infecting other people, then the virus, the strain of the virus that other people are getting are much milder. So everybody would have mild symptoms and people would recover. So that would save a huge amount of lives. That's the theory. And the whole thing is there is a rom-com involved in it.
Of course. So,
well, just to know that I know you feel that you can't do any kind of shooting because of the lockdown, but we haven't found that.
No.
It's not just that we have people talking directly to screen, but we have like one actor in Canada. What she did was she did her scene and shot
the other actor on green screen and dropped him into the scene. Dave was part of that. So we're using a lot of tricks to make stuff work.
So it looks like they're in the same room, but they're not in the same room because she shot opposite. She was talking to an empty room, and and there was her footage and the opposite footage where she shot her living room, and then the other actor who was in Georgia shot against a green screen, and then it was put together. And so we had a scene, as well as we have people who are doing some extremely touching scenes where they're talking to each other via, computers, via this, via that. It's surprising what you can do if you don't limit yourself. So don't.
I actually did the same thing. I made a quarantine short film, and I'm at the end of my editing right now. It's called The Last Toilet Roll. It's about a couple, and there is that they have that last toilet roll in the world, and what they can do to get that toilet roll. That's the film. I shot in my home, and I guess you know Lily Patel.
Sure.
She was my actress. She shot in her house.
Oh, great!
And then we have put the film together, and it kind of looks like we are at the same place. The reason I dropped out of LSCC class is because I wanted to do some specific shots, not just a shot. I want to do a couple of shots that I have in my mind.
Great.
And for that, I needed location shooting, and that's impossible. And also the people I wanted to work with, they all said, no, it's unsafe right now. We cannot go out and shoot something.
Right.
So I thought, because LSCC, they provide a lot of resources. You can shoot at LSCC, or you can shoot anywhere in the LA County by paying only, I think, $25 or something for 7 days period.
Yes.
Which would be otherwise $800 for a regular production.
Well, but I mean,
so I want to take advantage of those.
Sure. But I mean, the challenge right now is to figure out ways to get around the limitations. And so that's why I took on the Space Command episode that we did, because I thought, okay, I find this a very interesting challenge, because it wasn't when you watch the episode, it's not all Zoom calls between different actors. It's we have monologues, we have calls between different actors, but we also have scenes where it looks like they're in the same scene. It looks like we do other scenes. I mean, we're just trying to use a lot of different kinds of tricks to expand the world that we're presenting, and it. But I'm aware that because everyone is in the same situation, more or less, that the technical aspects are less important than the content. And so it's finding ways to do something that might be moving, something that might be interesting, truthful, whatever, and not worrying too much about, is this going to be perfect? It's not going to be perfect, but it's something but you have essentially a captive audience, and so so that's how my head is working. I'm not lamenting lost opportunities. I'm seizing the opportunities that are here now, and so that's just my thing.
And there's a huge buzz all around the world, and also there are a lot of film festivals. They have a specific quarantine film category,
Yes.
COVID film or coronavirus film category.
Yes, but one thing I would suggest, if I try to do things that are not just of the moment, because the moment passes and then the work is, passé. So I try and think of things that, people always ask me, is there a right time for a given project? I never think of it that way. I think of what enthuses me, and then, the timing comes around or whatever, it's like, so I would also look toward that. I would think of like, okay, if I had one story to tell for the rest of my life, what would that story be? What's really, really, really important to me? And that's served me very well over the course of my career. So anyway, that's just a little of it. Anything else you need?
That's all for now. I have a quick question, Mark.
Sure.
What is the main difference between a green screen shoot and a location shoot? Like you can make the green screen look like the same location, like
it's
a restaurant or something. But what is the main difference?
Well, the green screen means that you're shooting it wherever you have it, and then dropping a background behind. But you have to make sure that the lighting matches, and that also the green screen is well shot, because otherwise you'll have a hell of a time. And so that's part of it. So make sure that before you shoot green screen, you definitely talk to people who know what they're doing, so that you don't shoot stuff that's unusable.
Well, that done, it can be more economical and you have greater control.
Yeah.
But the actor isn't in the environment,
right.
And that really can affect the feel of the thing.
It's very difficult to come up with a green screen that looks convincing. There's yeah. So
is that the main reason the big production companies, like generally, like everybody wants to shoot on location, not green screen? That's the main reason?
Well, big productions are shooting endlessly on green screen, because they'll go to a real location, but they'll need to drop in certain CG elements like set extensions or some building that's not really there. So if you look at the making of features of a lot of very big movies, you'll see that they have green screen set up selectively on at the location. So this is also something that one can study closely and see how that works. But the bottom line is you always need people to guide you, who know what they're talking about, and or they have to have someone like Dave Edison who can clean up the mess ongoingly, as he does with me, every single day of the week. So so great.
But you will find over the years people may start to get cranky if you keep giving them messes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's true. So great. Well, thank you, Kushek. Good to see you. So do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes. We are slowing down on those, so
okay.
Do fewer in between if you want.
Sure.
But our next question is from Yul Adamas.
Hi, Yul.
Who asks, how do you become an idea person? Just having the ear of the writers so you can have your ideas be seen.
You raise a shitload of money and then you call yourself a producer. That's how you do it. I mean, there's no such thing as like, people think that the great idea is what makes stuff happen. That's almost never the case. Writers have ideas. They've got plenty of ideas. And so they don't generally need your ideas. What they need is someone who can deliver the idea, who can make the script, make the show. So either learn how to write scripts and make stuff, or if you've got a great idea, do it as a comic book, do it as a novel, do it as a short animated piece, whatever. But there aren't a huge bunch of professional writers waiting for some idea guy. So you have to be the catalyst, one way or another, that makes stuff happen, and that's how you do it.
Well, you have to do the work, the hard work.
Yeah, the heavy lifting.
Yeah, so it's not just thinking of ideas, which is
sure.
They may be good ideas, but still, you have to do the heavy lifting of actually giving it form and,
Right, because everyone has ideas. Everyone says, all of a sudden, everyone around the world finds they can fly. Okay, sure. Does that stink? Is it good? I don't know. It depends on the execution, you know. And if anyone wants to do that, fine. I give it away free. But you know. But the point being that it's not the idea. It's what you do with the idea. So cool. So now, Dave Edison, you're up. Go for it, Dave.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I'm okay here. Maybe sleeping a little better than the past couple of weeks.
Yay.
What can I tell you? Space Command Ripple Effect.
Yes.
Just working on this thing like a maniac and for a maniac.
Yes.
So
yes, it's nice.
I just rearranged the scenes
Good.
Per Mark's recent email.
Good.
And out of just a coincidence, I checked out the timing of the episode to the frame. An hour and 45 minutes.
That's great.
Oh dear.
That's great.
And
Lovely.
that's with 2 scenes pending.
Yes. Yes. Great. Terrific.
Anyway, so this will be a long episode.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
Plenty to watch while we're in lockdown.
And I assume I assume you're rendering it now, correct?
Should I be?
Yeah.
I guess you want to see it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm not exactly sure where to now that you've moved things around, where to put the title, but I suspect you have a suggestion.
It's in the script. You mean the title sequence?
No, just the words Space Command Ripple Effect, written and produced by and directed by. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
It's a temp, so
yeah.
Work in progress.
Great, terrific.
So okay, I'll render this out for you, and you'll have it in a few hours probably.
Now, also,
and
did you prepare the thing for Thane? Do you have that clip, Dave?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So Thane Allison, we need to get your permission to do.
Thane is saying one moment, please. Thane, I'm going to live forever.
Yeah. So Thane, we need your permission to utilize your image, because here's what's going on. When I wrote the radio play, the prequel of Space Command, part of it was an idea that was given to me by Neil deGrasse Tyson, the famous astrophysicist. So because he had given me the idea graciously, I wrote him in as a character. So I was emailing for months to see if he would be in the radio play and not hearing anything back. And I figured I had just pissed him off, which is a daily occurrence in my life with various people, and principally Dave. And but finally, like a week ago, he emailed me back and said, if it's not too late, I'd love to do it. Great. So I sent him the lines. But he didn't just send me the audio. He sent me the video. Now then, so because I had video for an audio play, I thought, well, let's use that in Ripple Effect because it's Neil deGrasse Tyson and he's famous. I mean, he's the host of Cosmos.
How can one resist?
Right. So then but then Dave, being a stickler for reality, said, well, it's set 30 years from now, his scene, and yet he looks exactly the same. So then I came up with a solution, which was that this newscast is brought to you by Eterna Youth, which is a longevity treatment that makes you look younger. So Dave just did up the promo, the little sponsorship thing for that, and we'll just run it for a moment. But Thane is in it. You're in it, Thane. So let me show it to you. But I'll need you to say yes. That's fine. Okay.
Host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Okay.
Oh, so you can't do it.
Is that me? I don't know.
Well, are you the host in this case?
No, I don't think so, but let's see.
You should have host privileges.
I don't think it says stop video, mute my audio, pin video, rename, hide self view. That's all the choices I have. Maybe if I go down, let me see down here, stop video, invite participants, share screen. Is it that?
There was never a sign. There's a thing that says sign in as host, and apparently you never did.
Oh, it says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Okay.
Or it says more, or at least on my screen, where it says more, where you go to chat.
Did it say host permits screen saving? Is that what you
said? It says screen sharing.
Host key.
Host disabled attendee screen sharing. It says.
Once again, you went out a little.
It says hang on. It says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Oh, okay. So you don't have any control over that.
Apparently not. So, but that's curious.
All right, hang on. I'll do it this way.
Okay. Great.
Let's see. Talk among yourselves. Where is this?
Dave's going to do something. Yeah, because last week you did that, Dave. You did something that took over the whole screen.
You have three little dots up at the top of your screen or wherever the thing shows,
yes.
video and all that.
Yes. No, it's yes. What? I'm sorry.
Click on the three little dots.
I did. It just says stop video, mute my audio, pin video, rename, hide self view. That's all it says.
What do you do that says chat?
Yeah, Dave, do you have a solution?
I'm going to try to actually shoot the other screen. Let's see if this works. Turning around here.
The other thing I will say is,
wait! I just hit a thing that said speaker view, and Adam is now full screen. I don't know.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Speaker view. That's speaker view or gallery view.
Yeah, it says,
Let me try this. Got to get a power cord.
Okay, Dave's going to do something.
Let's see if I can't quite see the screen.
Sort of. Yeah, we can
see if this. Let's see if this works.
Okay, good luck. There we go. Yeah, we can see it.
Galloway at large, Neil deGrasse Tyson talks. Killer Clown. Brought to you by Eternity.
Can you guys see the
Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't just a genius. I'm also a customer.
Okay. So no, we can't see it, Michelle. I can't see what you're showing.
Oh, that didn't work.
It worked.
It worked for me.
Yeah, it worked for me too. It's great, Michelle. I'm sorry, I can't see what you're showing. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, Thane, if that's okay with you, we'll use it. So
yeah, as long as this doesn't keep me from being some other role in the movie.
Not at all. Not at all. And so why don't you take your turn since we just turned you into a baby?
Well, I've been kind of a baby today. Wang. I like a lot of people, I'm getting sick and tired of this house arrest, but
Well, I'm glad you're sick and tired and not really sick.
Yes.
That's exactly the point. And so I've been chipping away at a variety of things. Somebody asked, "Are you keeping busy?" And I just listed out about 10 things, at least 5 of which I had never gotten to. 1,000 pictures and 2 hours of video that I took on my trip to Borneo last year. I've never touched. A movie I shot with my cat. Still haven't edited, a variety of other things. So I'm staying busy. Most of the time, staying positive.
Great.
And it's surprising how much time I've been spending in Zoom meetings and Zoom workshops. William Garcia's had several workshops that some good information, and appreciate that. And so just keep on being ready to go when the time comes to go back to work.
Cool.
And hopefully they will come up with a solution to this in the not too distant future, but I figure optimistically about a year before we're really back in any semblance of normal.
Yes.
Given my long history of working in clinical trials and setting them up and so on, I'm amazed at how quickly they've gotten through the bureaucracy to actually start testing this on human beings. Usually that's a very onerous process to go through and get permission.
Yes.
And so they've managed to expedite that. And that it's still going to be a while before we know. So there's plenty of things to do and lots of activities to stay creative with. And I liked your comments to Koshik. He's a creative guy. I've done 3 or 4 of his films in the past, and taking those skills that he has and applying some of the tricks that you've come up with makes sense for all of us. And I think that's something to be looking at as we go forward. So, polishing up my voiceover skills, just because
is something I like to do, and yeah, I can't keep up with Adam. I don't have 50 different voices in my pocket right now, so Grumpy Old Man works pretty good. And narrating documentaries, I do that pretty well, and a little bit of my foreign language skills, although recently was referred to a new doctor, and nobody in the office spoke anything but Chinese, and trying to make an appointment turned out to be a nightmare. And, so we requested a different doctor.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So anything else you need, Thane?
No, I put a question out about contact information for Ann Thomas, and got several responses here.
Oh, good. Okay.
Close that loop. A friend of mine has a short film. He wants to cast a transgender person, and didn't realize there was a place where he could go and get real talent. So
great.
Somewhere in my mess, I have Ann's card, but this was quicker. And yes,
then your grumpy old man line could be, "Hey, you kids, get 6 feet off of my lawn."
Yes. Give me your candy bar there, mister.
Really. Yes, exactly.
That is ice cream sandwich.
Ice cream sandwich. Wow. That's great.
When Mark and I were walking down La Brea, there's a sign up there saying, "Stay a cow apart."
Yes.
A cow apart.
Yes.
A small cow, a young heifer.
Yeah, exactly.
A big Holstein can be close to 9 feet long.
Yeah, well, it's
a half a heifer.
Yeah.
And there is a commercial running right now where a guy has a cow laying out on the floor in front of the fireplace, and he's on one arm talking to the cow. I thought, boy, somebody did a lot of work to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, people have too much time on their hands.
Tried to train a couple of cows just to walk in a straight line and behave themselves. But pigs are the best.
Yeah.
Pigs are smart, a lot smarter. So.
Yeah, you need to get out more. So okay. So
never try it. My one advice is never try to teach a pig to sing.
Right.
It just aggravates the pig and makes the farmer tired.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yay, Thane! 3 cheers. So
and yes, I'm available for that shot.
Great.
Well, and hurry up with that pig movie. I want to see the pig movie.
Oh God. So
I mean the cat movie.
Yeah.
Movie.
So Adam, do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yeah, we've got one from Wagon Loads.
Great.
Who asks, would you do Space Command any different as a movie than as a series?
Originally, it was going to be a movie, oddly enough, during the campaign, and what turned out to be what would be now, I guess, the what would it be? It's like the 4th 2-hour story. Was originally going to be a standalone feature with Armin Shimmerman, Christina Moses, Ethan Phillips of Star Trek Voyager, Doug Jones. And but as I was doing interviews every day during the 2 months of that campaign, the story just kept getting bigger and bigger, and ultimately it ended up being a 12-hour season for starters. And so it wasn't. It was different, but mainly different because I was getting to know the characters. We still have to go back and rewrite that script. But in Ripple Effect, in the new episode, you'll get to meet a number of the characters who are in that episode. So Armin Shimmerman plays Bob Picardo's grandson. Christina Moses plays Armin Shimmerman's daughter. So it's really fun to be able to bring these characters in that I wrote, back then, and have been waiting to shoot. So and Matt Kemmer, of course, the Aaron Gaffey, who plays Ethan McDowell's great grandson, and finally we got to put him in the Space Command uniform and shoot a scene with him, which thank God. And that's a scene with Francois Chow, who plays Jules Pierre Mao on the Expanse. He's the villain on the Expanse, so it was great to get.
Just to clarify, this is the poor Aaron Gaffey.
Yes, but we no longer can call him poor Aaron Gaffey because he finally got to. We were hoping, praying that we could shoot him as that character before he was on a walker, and so we succeeded in doing that.
Yes,
so
he's got a monologue, and he's
great.
He's wonderful.
Yeah,
He's
Elaine wrote the scene, and she really had a great angle of attack on that character.
And she's flying the ship.
She's flying the ship. She has her cameo.
Yeah.
Her on-screen cameo is in that episode, so it's going to be great. So
one of the more interesting scenes, I think, is that Brian McClure plays his great, who knows how many times, grandson.
Yes.
Yes.
And the reason he plays it is because he shot the scene about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yes. It's great. It's wonderful. I've been wanting to do that scene for years because his monologue. Here was what it was. We had a worldwide talent search for Captain Kemmer and Cadet Bradbury. And so I had Brian, and so we winnowed it down to the finalists, and we got 1,200 videos. We got 7,000 inquiries, 1,200 videos. People could download the scene, shoot their own audition, and anywhere in the world. And then we winnowed it down to about 20 people each for each role. So when I finally got Brian McClure to come for callbacks, I realized that there was no serious scene for Cadet Bradbury where I could see Brian's range. They were just kind of lighthearted, funny scenes. So I wrote a monologue for him to deliver that was still within the Space Command history, and he was so great in that monologue that for years I'd been talking to Dave about, well, can you just put in some view screens behind him and can bring the light down? And Dave was saying, you're out of your mind. But finally, with Ripple Effect,
I stand by that, by the way.
Dave needed a process of maturation that these years have accomplished, and so or fermenting or whatever, pickling. And
Mark wore the man.
I wore him down, and so now it's a great scene in this episode. And Brian McClure actually has 3 scenes playing the way he looks now, an older version of himself with a scar running down his face, and then his great grandson or whatever, who's actually 8 years younger because Brian shot it back then. So and we shot the reverse of Catherine McEwen now. And so the two of them are in a scene separated by 8 years. So it's very fun. So really fun. Well, I like to use what I've got. So great. But thanks for the question. So I guess Bonnie Janowski, if you want to take your turn, Bonnie, are you ready to kind of rock and roll? I think she's unmuting as we sit here. Yeah, there you go. Go for it. Yeah.
Good to see everybody. And I'm a composer and big band jazz, musical theater, film.
Yes.
And still waiting on 2 films that are supposed to get funding. One's from one is from a table person.
Great.
Write all kinds of music. I've started to update my website as that hadn't been updated in ages. And kind of working on different things, writing a lot of big band music, and
great.
I've been attending zillions of Zoom meetings. A lot of composers groups. William Garcia's groups are amazing. They're great, and
great.
A lot of good people, and I guess that's it.
Okay.
Well,
cool.
Need anything? Listen to good one's music.
And you've got a very large website of many different skills.
Cool.
Yeah,
well, great.
okay.
3 cheers.
Yay.
Maybe like one last Mr. Sci-Fi question, then I'm going to run the dogs, and Elaine will man the fort. So,
I guess we could go with Movie Inc., who asks, could you tell me what's the plans for Space Command?
Yes. We're going to shoot the entire 12-hour season, hopefully this year. I've written most of it already. We finished the audio play prequel, and we're having the graphic novel being illustrated now. It's going to be like 4 or 5 issues of the comic book, and then it'll be, put together as a graphic novel. The art's by Tahani Farr, covers it by William Stout, Ian McCaig, and Eric Rodriguez. Phenomenal. And the 12 hours we're laying out. I've already written the first 8 hours of it, and then Ripple Effect is an additional 2 hours that we're almost done with, and we're going to premiere that at the Space Command online convention June 20th. But meanwhile, we're working to sell the show. So Amazon is actively considering it now. We want to reach out to more of the VOD platforms, and so if anyone's runs a network or a VOD platform, please get in touch. And but our plan is to build an audience. We just in less than a month, we've managed to get 500,000 views on the first hour. So if we get up above several million, that's very persuasive to a buyer. The fact that there's a built-in audience, and the first novel is already completed. So that's the plan, to basically reach critical mass where Amazon, Netflix, whomever picks it up, and we have a real budget to play with, and what that will allow us to do is deliver the episodes much more quickly, because right now it's taking us years to complete episodes, simply because we have to do it on a shoe shine and a smile, and whereas that will give us millions of dollars per episode, and that's what we would be very, very handy. So
I don't think you should leave at this point, huh?
Really? Why?
No, because you left it when it was Mark's turn last time.
Okay, I'll wait, and then I'll take the doggies down. Okay, Mark Gushowitz.
His turn before you
and
leave.
And Mark, please send me your email, because there was something from Planet of the Apes for sale, and I wanted to send you the information, but I found I didn't have your email. So please email me, and I'll see what we can do.
Should I send you my email or Angelique my email?
Send me. Send me.
Because I was going to say she already has it, but I'll send it to you. Not a problem.
Good.
And you can walk the dogs if you want. We're total animal people over here.
Okay.
So I don't want them to have to be kind of.
Thanks.
They have to use the restroom. They have to use the restroom.
Okay.
Anyway, so my name is Mark. I'm an editor.
And filmmaker.
Excuse me? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You're editor and filmmaker.
Yeah, that's true. I never add that in, and I should. I'm also actually an award-winning filmmaker.
Yay. Okay.
I'm an award-winning editor and an award-winning filmmaker. A film that I did called Gourmet won Best Short Film over the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival about 10 years ago. So, but anyway, I've been pretty busy editing for a new company I've been doing some videos for. So that's kind of good, because it's money continuously coming in. But I'm trying to concentrate now on finishing up my zombie film, which I've officially put some money down on some graphic effects. I think the graphic effects are going to cost me about the same as the rest of the film combined. But if it does what I think it's going to do, it's going to be worth it. So we're working on that right now, and then next week I think Earl is coming down to help you guys out, Mark and Elaine out on something. I'm going to try and meet up with him while he's down here, because he's doing my music and my sound.
Oh, great!
So since he's going to be in town, I think I'm going to try and meet up with him so we could talk a little bit more detail about that. Other news is basically, I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I had a director who couldn't figure out how to edit their own project because they didn't shoot all the stuff they needed, and it was kind of a mess. Offer me directing credit if I could save their film. So I've been working on that, and I'm a little scared to show them what I've done, because I've literally rearranged the whole entire action scene, where stuff that was happening at the end of the scene is now happening closer to the beginning of the scene, and all this stuff to kind of get it moving a lot faster. And I did warn her. I said, you have a different movie now. But I think it's better, so I'm a little worried about showing it to her, but I'm a little kind of excited to see what she thinks, too.
Well, fingers crossed. Give her some time to get used to it.
Yeah, well, this isn't the first project we've worked on together, and it is the first project we worked on together, but because it's been taking such a long time, we've worked on other projects together. So we've built up a relationship, so I think it'll be good. I'm just a little nervous, because when you pick somebody's thing and it looks like this, and now I've kind of jumbled it all up, which sometimes you have to do in the editing room, she's not going to know what to expect, and so we'll see. I'm spending the next 2 weeks, maybe we should have kept Mark here for this, working on a new podcast with Nathan, which Mark is going to actually be the first guest on.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to be recording him next Friday, not tomorrow, but the following Friday. We're going to be talking to him about filmmakers, Rod Serling and Guillermo del Toro, because there are two filmmakers that he's very intimately kind of involved with. And what we're doing right now is Nathan's been doing a really great job. I was really surprised by what he's been able to accomplish because it's a podcast. It's basically we're going to be talking to filmmakers, and I'm going to try and do what Mark's been telling us to do in the long run. You want to network with these people, get in with these people, create a podcast, so you can meet them. And Nathan's been doing a really good job in getting us some really good people. And just yesterday, we talked to a stunt guy that we're going to also have on our third episode, who's working on all the Marvel films and everything. And so I don't know how Nathan got connected, but we talked to this guy for 3 hours, and it wasn't even a recording. So it was real exciting. What we're trying to do now that I want to get people's opinions on is we're trying to come up with a name for the podcast. And because we're late in the podcast game, so many names have been taken. And we're going to be trying to go a little bit deeper behind the scenes than most behind the scenes kind of things when we talk to these people, maybe ask questions that you don't normally hear asked. And so I had come up with a name for behind the screens, because we're going to be talking about TV and film, not just one or the other. And so I had to come up with behind the screens because it's like behind the scenes, and that's been taken.
Oh, wow.
And so Nathan wanted to get opinions on a title like Beyond the Screens. I didn't want it to sound a little too sci-fi, but I kind of like it, and I kind of thought it clicked. And I wanted to see, get opinions from people to see if it sounded like something. If they were to see that name, it would interest them.
Opinions, votes?
You can put thumbs up, thumbs down.
Adam. Yep, thumbs up from Dave.
I would make it singular rather than plural.
Well, singular's taken. And also Beyond the Screen. The reason we said screens was because what we were trying to do was what's a similar word for TV and movies. And when I thought of behind the screens, because it's like take on behind the scenes, it's because, we would have a tagline that says everything from the small screen to the big screen. And that's why plural. But does it sound like something like if you would see it? I mean, now so far I've seen 2 people do this, Adam and Dave. So but we're basically trying to come up with names. If anybody's got any suggestions and stuff like that, because we want to start a social media campaign to kind of get it out there. Especially, I just finished my last episode of Talking Apes, and so I'm trying to get a new name out there so that those fans can, click over before they forget.
Well, I think it'd be okay to put that out to the table and say, and the winning idea, they will be able to come and observe the podcast with somebody with a name being questioned. So give them some sort of perk if you use their name. If you use what title they come up. But I think that would be good to put it out there and let people sort of cogitate on it for a while, so it's really fresh and fun.
Right. Well, that's not a bad idea. I don't know how I get them into watch because we kind of work out of our homes. Like Nathan's going to be recording in his home, I'll be recording in mine, and then of course Mark was just going into his mic, and then all the sound gets sent to me to edit together. But I'll think of a perk though, because it could be something. Because we are thinking about creating like T-shirts and swag so that people can wear and then get our name out there. And so maybe we can offer up something for free. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. So, but that's what I'm going to be busy in the next 2 weeks, because when we talked to Mark initially, we asked if Guillermo del Toro was inspired by Rod Serling in the Twilight Zone, and he said not the Twilight Zone, but Night Gallery.
Yes.
And I haven't watched, and I think that's great because everybody talks about the Twilight Zone. To talk about Night Gallery is going to be great, but I haven't watched Night Gallery in a long time. So now I got to go rewatch them all, or rewatch a whole bunch of them. So that's what I'll be spending the next week and a day doing. It'll be exciting. I'm actually looking forward to it. I like talking to Mark. We had a real good conversation with him as a preliminary.
Right.
He's a smart guy, and he gave me a lot of information that I didn't know. It was really kind of fascinating.
Cool. Okay, great. Well,
so I'm looking forward to it.
Good luck with that. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. Thanks. Yay. Okay.
We actually have a question for Elaine.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Our commenters.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mark Lungo asks, do you think there are any subjects that women are more qualified to write about than men?
Not 100%. I mean, generally, women's issues are better dealt with by women, and men aren't always aware of the inner life of women. But I've seen some men who do women beautifully. So I don't think there's anything across the board. There's just a tendency that women will more often go for the complex emotional line and the more of the inner life and less of the action life. But there's so many exceptions. It's hard to even put that down. I don't think that's why I like it when people change their names. You don't know whether they're a man or a woman, because often you can't tell. And so much for trying to put people in boxes and biases. That's great. One of the good things about science fiction, which is it tries to take people out of boxes. So, yeah, I guess not really. Just on a broad general scope only. So thank you. And so, is it Carol?
Actually, I don't know if Judy Beecher needs to.
Oh,
she's
Judy,
out in New York, right?
are you there, Judy?
I am.
Oh, hi.
I actually have tons of energy tonight.
Oh my
I
God,
don't
okay.
know why I do, because I'm just like, I'm on a high today.
That's great. Well,
I got like 14 hours of sleep. So I'm just feeling really good today. But I'll go.
Great.
Thank you, Adam, for thinking of me and being considerate of my East Coast
status. Yes, we're trying to grab everybody. Everybody east of the yes, Mississippi. Okay.
So I'm Judy Beecher, for those who don't know me, and actress, writer, director, producer, singer, songwriter, multilingual, French, Italian, Spanish, conversational Spanish. I just finished tonight watching a 5-part series called The Cable Girls, which I highly recommend if anyone's looking for a series to watch on Netflix. It's a Spanish TV series, which is so good. It like keeps you on your feet. It just ended like right before this. So I was like, it's five. I watched it nonstop, five seasons of it. It was really good. It's like a Sex and the City in the 20s, but nonstop action and stuff happening all the time with espionage and all this stuff. It was really good. I just booked a job today. I'm very happy.
Yay, congratulations.
It was finally a pandemic job. A voiceover job from a company that I worked for a number of years ago, and I'm trying to even remember. I did a famous brand, something for them. They remembered me. They came back to me, and they asked me what my rate would be to do a series of 5 videos. And it freaked me out. I did a lot of research, found out, tried to find out what, and I did like a low and a high range of it. And I ended up, because it was for nonprofit companies, the videos are for things I believe in, and they said they have no budget. So I gave them the lowest possible thing I could do for my time and they came back and they said it was too much. And then they came back and they said someone gave them like half that amount of like another company. And could you possibly go lower? And it's a lot of work what they're asking me to do. And so I just, I went down $100. And it was like I just stood my ground, and it was about a month ago that I gave them these figures that it was supposed to have been done a month ago. And I thought the project was dead, and then they came back today, and I haven't worked. So it's really nice to get like a job, an act. So it was very nice. So I had tonight, I also the pandemic, a short film I wrote, and tonight there about a couple of hours.
Oh,
I just you.
We've got you. Oh, you've been breaking up a bit, so.
Me?
Yeah, you've been sort of like.
Oh, because I'm looking at everyone's faces Everyone's faces is frozen.
Yeah, you were breaking up a
like,
bit.
what happened to everybody?
Like
everyone's
yes, there's a lot of breakup right now. Yeah. I sometimes, I mean, we've been getting some really slow reception of late ourselves. Yeah. I think more
in my heart.
I think more people are using, the bandwidth than normal. So, oh dear, you're frozen again. Hello? Oh shoot.
I'm frozen?
Yeah, isn't it frozen? Yes, I'm frozen.
I'm frozen?
Oh, okay, you're moving again.
Am I frozen? Maybe I'll go up. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Now
you can hear me? Yes, am I unfrozen?
You're unfrozen. Yes. Right. Okay.
Okay. So did you hear what I said about I performed today my short film at the Pandemic Players?
No.
This evening I wrote a short film. I performed it today online on a Zoom thing called the Pandemic Players. It got really, really great reception from people. Am I frozen? No.
No, you're good. You're good. We got you back.
And I just put an email out to the table. I'm trying to put together a team to shoot the film as a short, and then maybe go into like a web series kind of a thing. It's a very fun short film. Short web series.
That's great.
So I'm trying to put a team together with table members, which would be lovely. And both New York, LA, because it could be the two. I'm in New York, and the other character, the whatever. And what else? That's it. I've just been very, very busy taking lots of classes, lots of auditions. I just got an audition in today, and writing a lot, taking a one-person show class, doing writing every day on that. And so it's been very productive. The pandemic has been very productive because I'm getting to take classes and everything, and hone my skills and everything, which and try not to go crazy with I have a family members in the hospital right now.
Oh wow!
So it's trying to stay sane and supportive and
well, good for you though. Good for you. I mean, you seem to be doing just amazingly well. So
yeah.
Okay. How do you manage
very
it?
Balanced.
So how do you manage it? Do you have any secrets you'd like to share with your fellow actors?
Yeah, well, for me, self-care has been like humongous, and because we're in the pandemic, I find time to be able to do all those little things that ground you. In order to be out in the world, you have to ground yourself on the interior world first, so I've been doing a lot of meditation and writing and exercise, like different types of things. And then I'm taking, acting, doing things to up my acting skills. I'm doing things to up my writing. I'm taking Shonda Rhimes class on writing TV series. I just took finished documentary filmmaking class. I'm just doing things to hone myself and hone my skills. I'm learning guitar, which I didn't know how to play. I'm taking voice. I'm working my voice and taking voice lessons. And because when this, I look at this as a gift to us, because when else do you have the time to do all this stuff? You never have the time. I never have the time to watch TV. Ever. I'm always busy. I'm always doing stuff. So I've been watching everything and watching all these series because I should be on these series. So I need to know what's out there in the world. And I've never had time to do that. So I'm just catching. I'm just wake up. I have my schedule, and and I'm doing a lot of online workshop, a lot of online readings. I'm performing a lot online. I'm I've been asked to perform in a lot of these things, so I'm constantly keeping my skills sharp. And my, I ask people to critique my work. I look at my stuff. I'm trying to be the best I can be in all different domains. So that's
great.
That's what I'm doing.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm sure that creates an energy that just draws. So good for you. Yay. All right.
Okay.
Yay.
Great.
I'm so glad you unfroze. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yay. So another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
No new questions yet.
Sad. So okay.
So Mark, you wanted a series title for your podcast. There could be storytelling behind the curtain.
Well, and what's the podcast about again?
It's the one you're going to be on.
You're going to be on it. So
yeah,
it's basically we're going behind the scenes. With movies. Nathan's
TV.
original idea was to bring guests on and compare certain things.
Yeah. Well, I told you the title I liked. If you recall, it was Geniuses of Brilliance. So
I just don't know if somebody's going to click on that.
Sure they would. Sure they would. It's a great title because it's funny and self-deprecating in its odd reverse engineering way, reverse psychology.
What I had thrown out there to see if I get opinions on, because I had come up with like behind the screens, because we're going to be talking about the small screen and the big screen.
Right.
Especially with you,
right?
But that's already taken,
right?
And so Nathan had come up with beyond the screens.
But again, you see, those are obvious. I always like titles that aren't. That's why I like Geniuses of Brilliance, because people are going to check that out just to see what the hell it is. But that's just my opinion. I mean, don't listen to the guy who's actually succeeded enormously. Go with your own instincts. So
that is a silly title.
It's exactly. But
I also
anyway.
don't want people to misunderstand, because there's a really popular podcast out there called How Did This Get Made?
Yes.
When I first went to it, I was all excited. I thought it was going to be a behind the scenes thing about how these things get made.
Yes.
And it's actually a movie that talks about bad movies with the question, how the hell did this get made?
Right.
I want to make sure when people see our name, they kind of get what it is.
Yeah, sure.
And with the exception of you as a guest, will that apply all the time?
Yes. Well, yeah, very funny. But it's, but you just try. I mean, whatever. Or you can even have a contest to have people vote on what name they like.
Well, we're talking about
that's what Elaine said.
Yeah, sure. Because that's going to get you a lot of people who are invested. So okay, so now where are we?
So now we're up to Carol.
Carol, okay, go for it, Carol.
Hi, Mark and Elaine. Thank you again for your kindness as usual. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Actress, dancer, singer, 20 musicals live in New York, 36 commercials in LA. Oh, I hate saying okay, a few things. I sing before brides walk down the aisle because of a friend of a friend of a friend. I got the weirdest singing gig for June 27th. I'm singing for a senior citizens wedding in Amarillo, Texas. Virtually.
Wow.
I don't know how they're going to pay me. Maybe Venmo. I have no idea. But that is really. And I don't really. I mean, that's not my style. Is more Broadway and 40s stuff. But I think I'm going to do. God bless the day I found you. I want to stay around you. That one. It's Southern enough.
Yeah.
So I'll just wear cowboy boots and hang out. So I'm sort of excited. I'm excited about that. Senior citizen was like a good deed.
Great.
But I want to read something to you because
sure.
a friend of mine told me he was feeling extremely alone and singular in this whole pandemic thing. And when I wrote my dating down book, I also wrote a workbook, lots of poems and stuff in it. And I wrote this little piece here. I woke up in the middle of the night. It was a hot night. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I walked outside and I decided to put this in here. It's just a paragraph, if you don't mind. It's called Whose Black Night? And I'm going to wear 2 pairs of glasses because these are not strong enough. Thank you.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. The reason why God's committee created so many time zones was to remind us when we are alone and fast asleep in the black night, there definitely is someone else waking up for school, someone cooking their children lunch, someone going to worship their God, someone coming from not worshiping somebody else's lifestyle, someone confused by their boss, and someone else dressing for a date. We may be fast asleep in the black night, we are never alone.
Great.
And I really believe, we're someone, we're going to be fast asleep in the Black Knight, who's going to be doing all these things. I really believe that. So maybe you'll all put that under your hat for the remainder of this short shut-in.
Great.
So I have two questions, and
Sure.
it's really one or two questions, depending on how you look at it. What is the most important thing when you're writing a show Bible?
The good margins. No. It's
snacks.
I mean, again, Dave says snacks. It depends on what you're writing the Bible for. Okay, the basic point of when you're pitching a show is to get them engaged and to not have any questions they would answer that you can't any questions they would ask that you can't answer. So the Bible is usually for you rather than for the people you're going to be meeting with. So for me, I just, the more I know about my show, the better. But the series Bible, there's two different kinds of series Bible. There's a pitching Bible and there's a writer's Bible for when the show is up and running. But that's not really needed anymore because there are websites and you can also watch all the episodes, So it's just basically to inform yourself.
Well, you want clarity. We list the primary characters. We want to have a sense of, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stories with those characters. I really want to find out, given the nature of those characters, how they interact. It feels like there's a natural draw, natural conflict. You want clarity, and above all, you want to make sure that it feels like a novel in terms of it having legs. Certain things have a feeling of being a beginning, middle, and end. It's a screenplay. There's a simple arc, and you know that by the end, your story will be told. Whereas there should be a lot of twists and turns in a very long story when it comes to creating a Bible. And so one of the important things in a Bible is that there's sufficient richness and a sufficient amount of story where you say, oh, I can see where that would keep going and going and going and going. There'd be lots of twists and turns.
Okay. Enough storylines and twists and turns and open-ended stuff.
Yes, things that will keep going, that will build and build and build over a period of time, and with lots of surprises, but also where you're sufficiently engaged where you say, in the long term, what's going to happen. Not something that will she get the boy or won't she get the boy, end of story. But something that's far more convoluted than that. So if you look toward your favorite series, because everybody likes something different, and you say, what are my favorite series, and how does that twist and turn and keep me going where I want to see week after week after week, that's a very good way to break things down.
Thank you so much. It's really helpful.
Sure. Okay.
That's all, folks.
Okay. Yay.
Great. So who's next?
Okay.
Ron, I think. Ron,
unless Adam, was there somebody?
No. Oh, did you have a Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam? Sorry.
Yes, we do actually.
Great.
From John Penner.
Hi, John.
Interesting question. When your idea comes together, is it a magical moment?
Yes. I mean, it's very good when things work, but when you're a professional, sometimes it all comes together very easily. Sometimes the pieces don't fall into place for a long, long time. So sometimes it's just like climbing up a rock wall, hand over hand. And but the funny thing is that you can have really great scripts either way. And also the thing I love about television is that it's a group effort. So Dave's my collaborator, Thane is, because I turned him into a baby. Elaine, of course, is, and the dogs are, because they're now in the new episode as well. It's like great ideas can come from anywhere. David Bartlett called and said, hey, I have an idea for a scene, and we actually ended up shooting it. So a big part of being creative and having a career is to really recognize when people are offering you gold, when it's, and I mean creative gold, where it's like someone says something like when Elaine said Spoon River Anthology is our template for the new episode. It's like, okay, I get it. Now I deviated from that a bit in various scenes, but as an underlying backbone to that episode, it was invaluable. But it has to be a reference that both people understand. So if I didn't know that play or that book, it would have been meaningless. But fortunately, I did know it. But no, when things come together. But for me, the greatest moment is when it gets shot and it comes out really, really, really well. So it's when it's like with World Enough in Time, when it got finished and it was exactly what I wanted it to be, and and I took a year in editing that thing. It was really, really, really hard. And or even the first hour of Space Command. Now that it's out in the world and 500,000 people have seen it, or actually it's closer to 1 million with all the different versions of it, and it gets 96, 97% thumbs up. I know that I've done something and put my heart and soul into it, and the people value it. So that's an incredibly good feeling. So I'm very, just looking back over my career. The question was asked earlier about my career, and I'm so lucky and so grateful that so many of my dreams have come true, and I can look back at my body of work and be proud of what I've done. Whether it was Smurfs or He-Man or Super Friends or The Twilight Zone Companion or the Guillermo book or Space Command or Sweet Haven that I'm writing now. So, it's I'm very, very lucky and very I'm very glad that I've gotten to get so much stuff made. Almost, I'd say 95% of what I've written, if not more, has gotten shot, and that's a great, 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 great thing. Very proud of it.
Okay, I've noticed it's 7:55. We want
Yeah,
to make
Ron.
sure we get everybody in.
Let's take you. How about Ron? Ron Colbert.
Hello, Ron Colbert, yes. Sons Co-parent 10. Also, I founded a company called OELI. We do a lot of digital, a lot of websites and commercials, and a lot of the commercial and SEO, SMM, SEM, all that.
Sure.
Very busy with remotely now with teams. I've got one in Florida right now. We're doing Moon over Sorrento. We're trying to shoot the rest of the concept video for investors. We raised a little bit of money, and we shot some stuff in January. And as things go, we didn't. I wasn't super happy with all of it. We got raw time ran out. I had to shoot back here, so I was ready to go back down to Tampa, and I couldn't go because of all this. So now I'm setting up a remote directorial situation, trying to team up with the local actors, and I'm finding now, unfortunately, you just don't, like with us, we live and breathe this stuff, and we're so passionate about it. And I asked for a table read, and it was like pulling teeth. It's just, I just wanted to see the actors and give them some notes. And as a director, it's important to see that stuff and rehearse beforehand. And so I had a little trouble with that, trying to smooth it all out, and trying to get them to be on and to be committed. But that's not. I'm having a little troubles with that.
Yeah.
It's a Tampa local community. They're very good. Actually, I was very surprised. I found them in a showcase.
Oh, guys. No. It's not a real dog. It's not here. Okay.
So yeah, no, it's just been super busy. I've got right now finishing up. We got 2 films in post right now, trying to finish up, and then as well trying to gear up to sell the to other investors some other stuff that I have presented and created pitch decks and investment videos and all that kind of thing. And so just kind of pushing everything as much as I can.
Great.
It's it's good. Remote has kind of been sort of that kind of character anyways until I'm on set. So this is sort of normal for me, so I'm okay with it.
Okay. Is there anything you need?
Well, I was curious, Mark, about your shooting. You were you were saying you were shooting some Space Command with the actors remotely. I was wondering if you're using the same camera.
No, we're not, because I recognized that during the pandemic, the whole idea was we have to keep our actors safe, and by safe that means not exposed to anyone other than themselves, and their family members, whoever they're locked down with. So the idea was, but see, the thing that's so different now from when I started in the industry is that now everyone has a camera in their phone, in their computer. Some of them even have, 4K or whatever, 4K cameras. And in fact, my iPhone 11 has a 4K camera in it. But
amazing camera.
Yes,
Yeah.
but so the point being, I recognize that the audience would be more forgiving of technical inconsistencies now because, they know how we're shooting this. I'll tell everyone. Before we debut Ripple Effect, I'll have a little video intro by me where I'll just basically say, this is how we made this episode. So if there's certain things that are a little funky or a little different from what you're used to seeing, that's because we were determined to make this, and we wanted to honor our fans, and we're giving it to free to our audience, and our actors have been working for free, and I've been working for free on it. It's like, so the point being that, it's very important in any creative process to know what's important and what's not. Because if you worry over every little thing and try for perfection, you often miss the important thing. And also you pay a lot of attention to stuff that's ultimately not important at all. So I remember one of the things I did in my youth that was very funny is I wrote the Twilight Zone Companion. It was a 1,000-page manuscript typed on a typewriter. And then my editor wanted to drastically restructure it. And I was so upset by this. And I thought he was totally wrong because I'd spent several years writing it. And I called Richard Matheson, who was one of the great writers on Twilight Zone. I said, what should I do? Should I have my lawyer contact him? What should I do? And Matheson was great because he was, of course, one of the great writers and one of the, wise men of the world. And he said, no. He said, do what your editor's asking for. Just do what your editor's asking for. And I did. And ultimately, it actually was the right decision. It made the book better, and everyone was happy. Now I had to retype 1,000 pages, which I don't recommend to anyone. But the book has been in print for all these years since. So sometimes it's just sort of saying, okay, just go.
What you're recommending is to do what your editor asked you to do.
Well, okay. a book editor, Dave, yes. not a book editor. Yeah, yeah. There's a world of difference. There's a world of difference.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah. Well, as Elaine said earlier,
there is a thing called editor's cut.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly. That's the one that you don't keep.
But it doesn't last long.
No, it doesn't. But the thing is, my method is, of course, to come up with something absolutely crazy, have my entire team tell me that it's crazy, do it anyway. And then they get with the program, so, and I mean, now that doesn't mean every now and then Dave actually says to me, don't do this thing. I beg you. And so I'll listen to him, like for instance, when I was going to release on Mr. Sci-Fi, the rough cut of the second hour, and Dave said, please don't. And I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. And it helped Dave feel, that every now and then I actually embrace sanity.
Empowered.
Yeah. So that's yes. Sort of, but again, with filming, I found it such a fascinating challenge. See, the opportunity, which was so great, was that my actors who are starring in network shows and normally not available were all available. They're just sitting at home going crazy.
Yeah.
So if I said, you can shoot this scene using your own camera, they were thrilled. They were thrilled. And their work is terrific. And in some cases, people like Ethan McDowell, our lead actor, not only shot the scene, but he edited it, did visual effects on it, all sorts of stuff. I mean, how great, and I mean, it's just like everyone is.
And it only took me 3 days to prepare.
Yes. So anyway, okay. Anything else you need, Ron?
Yeah, a role on your program. Come on now.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of opportunity moving forward. Absolutely.
Ron, I'm just curious. Any relation to the late composer Robert?
No. Yeah, no. I met him because of that, but no.
Give him a treat. You can keep going.
Yeah, no. I met him at an event in Beverly Hills. Yeah, because of that.
Wow.
No. Yeah, that's. So I have a new festival I want to put out. I have some sponsors coming into the program. They're going to sponsor the winners. I sent out something on table not too long ago about shorts. So if anybody has shorts, you know, the new wave is definitely short form is definitely more people are interested in. They just have a hard time trying to figure out where to put it. You know, Quibi's got a hit this week that was a little negative this past couple weeks, but they're still, you know, funded big time. Shorts are still on the move. It's just hard for people to really understand how to place them, but they're, you know, they're entertainment, and I think more to, you know, the shorter they are, actually the shorts are something that are interesting for advertisers. So I, you know, I've worked in the advertising arena for a long time. I do have a lot of contacts in that arena. So I started pitching that, and I wanted to create a festival. So, and see if we can win some money for some of the short film filmmakers. So, you know, guys, get me your shorts. I've got a few advertisers, you know, get the word out.
Great.
And I think they're gonna, you know, it's exciting because they're gonna pay for the next short. You know,
Cool.
they're gonna, you know, they'll have a budget, of course, a small budget, but yes, ma'am.
What's the length? The shortest to the longest. What's the
length
range?
are you looking for?
What length are you looking for?
You know, shorts can be told anywhere. You know, I think like 3.5 minutes to 10 minutes. I think anything longer than that's kind of pushing it.
Yeah.
You know, the editors know this. You know, it's just like, you know, we want to really be able to tell that story within, you know, 7.5 to 10 minutes.
Great.
I think is probably prime.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. And on the chat, you can put how people can contact you and submit and so forth. So, you know, you can share that.
Sure.
So great. Well, thanks, Ron. That's great. Yay!
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. So, is there something else from Mr. Sci-Fi, Adam?
Yeah, I'm cutting it off, but we do have one final question from Mr. Sci-Fi.
Okay.
And this is from John Penner.
Okay.
Who
Hi, John.
asks, do you look for a musical style that you think will work for Space Command?
Yes. It's a balancing act between kind of old school and new. So there's a nod toward, because the visual aesthetic is science fiction in the 1950s, particularly book covers and magazine covers and things like that, and EC Comics, of course, Weird Science. It can have a little bit of an old school style, but it also has to be modern as well. So it's a balancing act, but that's what I look for. That's what we aspire to. So great. So let's see. I guess Emily, are you there? We can take Emily Clark if you're there.
Emily, hello.
There you are.
Hi.
Hi. Great. Can you unmute? There you go.
Okay.
Go. Good. Go for it. Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, we still can't hear you. Do you have a mic? We're not hearing you. Nope. Can't hear you. Uh-oh. The system breaks down. Nope.
Shoot.
It says that it's unmuted, but it's not. We're not hearing you. So is your mic enabled on your computer or whatever you're using? We can't hear you. Nope. Not working.
Can you shout really loud?
No, come on, Elaine.
How about now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry,
that's okay.
Here.
Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous here.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'd actually missed the last few table meetings, but
Yeah.
I finally got some technical issues worked out, so I was able to get on camera this time around.
Great.
And one of the projects I've been working on was for WonderCon this year. And of course, unfortunately, that was canceled. So what they did was they went virtual.
Yes.
And different people that they had contacted for panels, you know, that they scheduled for panels, they contacted like a select number of people, and I was chosen. So on YouTube, I have a panel that I coordinate, that I put together for this year. So I'll link it in the chat box, and also on the main table, email. And what it is, it deals with autism and entertainment. And apparently
the idea came from about a year ago when I was doing research. I found out that there's a lot of people who are autistic that attend Comic-Cons and sci-fi conventions. So I wanted to bring that. I wanted to, put that on notice because there's a lot of people who don't realize that.
Oh yeah, when I was growing up, we just called them science fiction fans.
Yes. And then you had the stereotypical nerd, geek, what have you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super smart, socially awkward. Yep. So, but that's great. Yeah, you
what
bet.
I want to say is exactly this. When Amy came to me with this project a while back, she said, "Dad, I'd like to do this." I said, "Well, go for it."
Yes.
So she did, and very happy that she was successful at it.
Went through a lot of ups and downs, though.
Yeah.
But what I want to say, how you fit it into her life. We met Earl Kress in 2010, and Earl Kress and I,
Emmy Award-winning animation writer,
became friends because of Joe Oriola and Don Oriola. We all was friends.
Felix the Cat.
Joe did Felix the Cat and Cats for the Ghost. But anyway,
cool.
What happened with that, though? What happened with that? We met you
2 years later.
2 years later
Wow.
in the hallway. Guess what you said to Emmy? You listen to Emmy. Emmy looks like a little kid, really. At that time, she was really like a little kid. You encouraged her. You said, "Well, we have this meeting every Thursday night at the table, and if you guys are ever in town, because we live in Dayton, please come." Emmy took you very seriously because you took her seriously.
Sure.
And from that time, you became Mr. Zach, the guy Thursday night, Dad, we got Miss da 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 da.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
And it was actually through the table that I was able to get a referral to get my own autism diagnosis about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, again, I think that projects relating to autism are very, very important, and also autism related to science fiction, because I think a lot of the writers and a lot of the fans are on the spectrum, definitely, absolutely. And, so, and the ones that aren't on the spectrum just haven't been tested yet. So, I mean.
That's how it was for me.
Yeah, but again, I think that why fans were attracted, particularly in the early years of science fiction, say the 30s to the 1950s, was again because people who had a feeling of being outsiders, people who were like very smart technologically but not good socially, this was a place they could get together and not be judged, but be with their own tribe, and be celebrated. And I think, and this is true of the writers too. I mean, science fiction, particularly in the 50s, was renowned for being about having the characters be rather thin, and the idea being what carried the material. And so again, I think it's a really interesting subject. And so yeah, absolutely. So is there anything you need at this stage?
What do you think? You had something you were going to do with your music, though.
Oh yeah, what I'm going to do. Sure. Howard Benjamin was very encouraging to me. He told me he told me, get your dad, sit him down by a cheap telephone, and make him tell his life story.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm working on that. I talked to Howard a few days ago.
Yes,
I'm working on that, and then I'm going to put up a music program online called Developing Minds Through Music for everyone, but mainly I'm looking at the young kids.
Yes,
coming up. So I'll keep you posted.
Great. And one thing.
And you're writing a book on your career.
Great.
Howard, last time I talked, are you writing the book? I said, yes, sir, I'm writing it, Howard.
Yes. Well, here's several things in that regard. The wonderful thing about a memoir is that if you interview your dad, that can become material for a documentary. It can be utilized as content on, like a DVD or whatever. It can be transcribed into a book. And also, if you're writing a book, that's a book you can narrate and have an audiobook of. So it's like there's so much, like, for instance, when I wrote The Twilight Zone Companion, I was in my early 20s. I started that book when I was 21. And I interviewed people on audio cassette, never dreaming that content would become extremely valuable, the audio recordings. And so when I produced, decades later, when I produced the Blu-ray of The Twilight Zone, those 100 hours of recordings I had with the directors, the writers, the actors, the producers, I had all 4 producers from The Twilight Zone, Buck Houghton and Herbert Hirschman and William Frug and Burt Granite. It was incredibly valuable. The book on its own, of course, stands as what it is, but that audio content became very, very cool. And so, so yes, so absolutely get all that stuff down. I highly recommend it.
Thank you so much. I'm going to call you on. I'll be calling.
Sure.
The other thing, I just lost two of my friends, Lil Richard and Betty Wright. We're all close, man. So I got to include all of that. Lil Richard and I was on the same stage with Lloyd Price, and I played his piano.
Wow.
And he got very upset. He said, "Why did you play my piano?" I said, "Because it was out there and I went on first." But we left about 8 years later. So, well, thank you so much. And then, Prince and family. But thank you so much. We're going to be in touch, and we'll keep you posted.
Great. Well, 3 cheers. Great. So Adam, is there?
Cut that off.
Oh, wait, what? Which, who, what, where, what?
I believe you cut off.
Who?
Yes.
Where?
That's
David
correct.
Goldenholtz?
We cut off questions for
Yes.
this.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Okay.
David Goldenholtz. Go for it. Good. David, you're up.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, and be careful of those jellyfish. They sting like hell.
They do, yes. Yeah. I've been stung by one. And a manowar. They not feel good.
Man, wow.
But yes, so I'm sure all of you know that I am a voiceover, and I also do field mixing. And I do have a question for you,
sure.
Which are you going to be doing, I don't know if it already passed, but if it hasn't, if Corona is passed, like when it passes already, are you going to do the Comic-Con?
They've canceled Comic-Con. It's not. It's
they already did.
It's going to be online, yeah, and Dragon Con too. I mean, because they're looking ahead to the summer, and Comic-Con would be July, and if they just don't feel confident to have 500,000 or whatever it is, gathering, it just would be a nightmare. So more than it usually is. But yeah. So if they might have some kind of uplink, like a Zoom panel or whatever. I was just on a panel for WonderCon where I was with David Brin and Larry Niven and a couple other people talking about how we would have ended Game of Thrones as opposed to how they did end it. And that was very, very fun because, the other people on the panel were very, very inventive. And David Brin and Larry Niven are two of the giants of science fiction novels. And so that was a lot of fun. And then they're posting it somewhere. But yeah, so I may do something like that for Comic-Con. But in a way, it's almost a relief not to go to Comic-Con because, again, these things are such massive expenditures of money and time and effort that I'd rather just be making my show and moving forward with that. Not just Space Command, but the 6 other shows that I'm creating with Rockne O'Bannon and Mark Fergus and all those guys for the Showrunners Network. But anyway, I digress. So go ahead, David. How are you doing and what do you need?
So also the other thing that I'm doing is I'm doing a podcast as well.
Cool.
And I'm going to be working with Adam over here, right there, or
wherever. Yeah.
On the screen somewhere. And I'm looking for more people to be in the podcast. Basically, it's going to be about the industry, how it was, how it is, and what it's going to look like in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, the questions of just people that are outsiders and the questions of people that are also doing the podcast. So it's kind of like a round table, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking for people that are interested in doing that with me as well.
Cool.
So yeah, that's all I have right now.
Okay. Well, again, are you on the table email? Because you can definitely put an email out.
I am, yeah.
Put an email out because people, again, are just sitting on their hands at home and going crazy. And so, people want to be doing something that gets out to the world. I thank God that I've got my Mr. Sci-Fi channel because, again, I don't feel disconnected. And that's because I've got a link to my fan base, or my audience, or however you'd like to, call it, whatever you'd like to call it. So anything else for now?
No,
Okay.
that's all I have for today.
Okay. Yay. 3 cheers. And by the way, if you want to hear horror stories about jellyfish, just check out Diana Nyad. Diana Nyad tried to swim the English Channel, I think it was, many times, or whatever the hell she was swimming, and she kept getting stung by these incredibly small but incredibly lethal jellyfish, and she kept doing it over and over and over and over again to beat the record and succeed. Oh, it's just harrowing.
There's a record for getting stung by jellyfish.
Well, she probably has it, and but she wrote a book about it. It's pretty harrowing. So I think you read that book, right, Elaine? Did you read that Diana Nyad book? I think you did. Yeah, she did. Well, so yeah. So okay, so I guess Michelle Hart. I guess you're next. Go for it. Unmute. There you go.
Aha.
Yes.
There you are.
There you are.
First of all, it's Thane. I'm trying to still figure out why you needed to have cows walk in a straight line and how drunk were they? Anyway, let's see. Other than that, obviously I am available for table reads for anybody, or however we call these. I will sit at my table and you can sit at yours. I did see one of William Garcia's workshops, which was very helpful. And last night I listened to Amy Jo Berman, who is a former casting person for HBO. She was vice president of casting for HBO and is no longer casting, but is doing one hell of a sales pitch for her things on how people should get recognition on social media. And
I was going to say you should be careful of her.
Yeah, I'm not going to be investing finances in it, but a lot of the stuff that she said was useful, and a certain amount of it synced with the stuff that Mark has said. By the way, I don't know what you guys changed, but this is the first week that I've been able to see Elaine other than in shadows. So
Yeah,
yay!
David Bartlett told us to move our lamp so it was facing us rather than on the side. So that's what we did, because we felt, what the hell.
Yes, he was very firm about us moving our lamp.
Sure.
Yes.
So we'll do this from now on, and it'll be wonderful.
So I don't know if you paid attention to what you looked like before, but it was.
That's fine. I'm not vain. So, but go ahead, please. What do you need, Michelle?
Well, no, there's some other stuff here.
Sure, you bet.
What has ever happened to our website thing that Reed McGurkus, whatever the name was?
Yeah, it went away. It went away. I don't think it's really functioning now, as far as I know.
Okay, we probably don't need it.
No, I don't think so. No.
A movie that I did some dance work on, I think at least 2 years ago, is finally coming out. Sia's musical literally called Music, and there's a teaser film out on it, not the parts that I'm in. It's all children in that particular part, but it looks like it's going to be great fun and very fantasy and very colorful. And I had actually at this point forgotten that I did it because it was that long ago. So anyway, that's kind of nice. I have good news and weird news. Good news is that I have been fighting my way through trying to find out what is going on with unemployment, because my unemployment ran out right at the beginning of when the pandemic thing was starting, the lockdown, and there is apparently giant confusion going on. And the way that I've actually gotten a response finally was I finally got a hold of our state senator, or at least whoever's my state senator for my area, called Molly Mitchell. I left her a message on the phone this morning, and I got a call back at 5:30, which is why I was late to getting on the meeting. And there was not a great solution. The solution for any of you who are waiting for your special pandemic payments is that they haven't got it organized yet. Not that you are the one that didn't get it. Ain't nobody got it. They haven't got their shit together.
Wow. Jesus.
So, at any rate, the good news is that somebody from the state Senate called me back. So yay, the government is responsive.
Great.
Some part of the government is responsive. I spoke to a lady, and I do not have this direct from the horse's mouth. This is from somebody who should know what's going on. But the word came out that dance studios will be allowed to have 25% of their allotted space for dancers.
Huh.
So apparently, this lady said she knew people who own the Millennial Studio out on Lancashire. They have a room that is equipped to have 100 people in it, and they will be allowed to have 25 people, which means basically that until and unless there is a vaccine or this whole thing blows over, there will not be classes of any kind because nobody will be able to afford studio rent or to teach unless they're charging like $50 a class for people.
Wow.
It's absolutely insane. I and whatever others of us, I know Carol was a dancer also. Normally there are freestanding bars in the middle of the room. We are right next to each other. If we do exercises that face the bar, my face is by your face, and it ain't going to fly.
Yeah, no, it's going to, a lot of things are going to change. A lot of things are going to change. It's rough, but you know.
It was brought up the other day. I mean, you know, how are they shooting love scenes? How are they shooting hand-to-hand combat?
Yeah.
You know, the two people talking and over the shoulders is reasonable.
Yeah.
But that's
know,
not how stories are written.
Well, I think we just have to be more creative and more inventive and find solutions. I mean, you know, the main thing is for all of us to stay safe and stay alive. You know,
I'm for that.
Because eventually they will have a vaccine and eventually we'll be able to get inoculated, and then we can actually, you know, and those of us who do come down with COVID, you know, it looks like there's an immunity after that for at least a while. But again, you know, we've got to have reliable testing. So there's a lot of ground yet to cover.
Most people don't die from it, but I'm certainly not interested in getting it.
Well,
but the reality that it is not, it's not like, you know, somebody poured arsenic in your coffee.
Right. Yeah, and I don't
Not
want.
everyone will be willing to take the vaccine,
right?
Because of conspiracy theories, and we're all being chipped.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Please.
Well, fortunately,
no good deed goes unpunished.
Right.
You know, that's
right. But anyway, anything else you need, Michelle?
Out here looking for work.
Okay.
In the middle of all stuff, you know, looking for actually some work that pays with money.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, looking for acting work.
Okay.
So, the other thing is that I am trying to take the moving through life presentation to where I can do it on an individual basis as private lessons online. So that's, you know, that will be another way things will go, because it was originally designed to be a presentation for groups.
Okay.
And we don't have groups.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Thank you.
Cool. Yay. So let's see. I guess Akira, you're next on our screen. Are you there, Akira?
Yeah, I'm fine.
There we go.
Okay, hello,
got
how
it.
are you?
Great. Go for it.
Yeah, this is Akira. So I'm living in Tsukuba, LA, and I'm a Hollywood film composer and guitarist and Japanese language instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing right now is just working on some indie horror movies and doing some recording, guitar recording remotely, and teaching Japanese a lot. That's what I'm doing. So for just I'm looking for the opportunity to participate in any kind of film project, mainly horror. But if it's not horror, it's okay. And if you like my music, you know, I'm open to all my opportunity. Never say no, please, you know. That's it so far for me, you know. That's it.
Okay, great. Yay. So Lisa, go for it.
Hey guys, thank you for doing this again.
Sure.
Doing a lot of recording with people non-locally in both New York and in LA. Did a music video a little while ago called Invisible Me, which I think is ideal for anything that's about these times, and also another one called Throw My Arms Around You. So we're working on that. A podcast called See Me As I Am. It's for environmentalists, healers, and artists. So I'm a psychotherapist, music therapist, as well as a singer-songwriter, actress. And so I combine a lot of different people that I know. I also compose music with environmental themes. So putting all those things together, I have some pretty amazing people on there. And seeing 30 patients a week online. So in
Wow.
addition to trying to be an artist and doing that and helping a lot of people, so I'm incredibly busy. I live on the Sound in Connecticut, not far from New York, but it's a blessing to be able to be in nature during this time. So I'm grateful, and I'm just kind of being creative with the music. You know, they haven't really created a real-time recording situation yet, so we're all trying to figure out a way. But I have a music supervisor that's trying to figure out ways to combine everything from wellness to production to everything for the musician. And so I'm looking forward to new things that might be happening along those lines. So not a whole lot different this week than last, but definitely getting my music out. I have an album that it's pretty much done. I'm just going to add this new song to it and upload that soon. So that's all I have right now.
Well, that's quite a bit.
That's
great.
great.
Quite a bit. Great
That's
for
great.
you.
Oh, and also the autism piece. So I work at Yale with basically a lot of autistic adults about socialization with autistic spectrum adults.
Yes.
And so as a music therapist for 28 years and a psychotherapist, that's a huge area of my work. So that's
Great. That's great. Well, terrific. Congratulations. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. So I guess, let's see. I'm just trying to see names here. There's someone, I'm not seeing your name. It's you with the glasses and the gray hair.
Karen,
where?
Karen McKenna.
Yes, Karen. There we go. Now I can see your name. I wasn't seeing it, Karen. Sorry about that. Great. Go for it. How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Hi. It's late and I don't have a whole lot to report. I know you guys are dog people, so I will show you my baby.
Yay.
Who is
That's
recovering
cute.
from having a tumor removed.
Ah.
Yeah, but we are very hopeful that we caught it all early and
Great.
she's doing very well. And she's slowing me down. I got to tell you, I spent a lot of time hanging out with my girl the last couple of days. But I'm sure next week I'll have more to report. But like I said, it's late. I just want to say hi. Hi, Elaine.
Great.
Mark,
Hi.
Adam, David, everybody who's been on. It's really nice to hear you all. It's always so uplifting.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good to see you, Karen. So I guess Lydia Torres, are you there? Or can you unmute? Are you there, Lydia? No? Okay. Adam Modiano, are you there?
No.
Nope. So Beta, are you there? Beta?
I am.
There you go. Okay, so go for it.
Wow. Hi, I'm Beta. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an actor. I'm a dancer, a singer, and I do comedy as well. I'm currently working for Space Command. I'm David Bartlett's assistant.
Great.
So if you ever need anything from David, you can also always email me as well, or include me in emails, and I'll make sure he gets them because he gets a lot of emails. And yeah, I don't have anything specifically to say for now.
Okay.
I just wanted to say hi and
Great.
see everyone.
Well, thanks, Beta. Yeah, and there's going to be a lot coming moving forward with Space Command, so it's very exciting.
Right.
So Adam, I guess it's your turn.
Yeah, I guess I could take my turn here.
Sure.
Hi guys. My official turn. My name's Adam Sartain. I am an actor, voice actor with over 75 different voices, accents, and impressions. And I work for Space Command too.
Yay!
I'm an associate producer. I too help David Bartlett, and I also work on fulfillment and our Space Command website as well, which we've been we have a special page just for our pandemic episode Ripple Effect, where you can look at each script as it's been rewritten and changed. So that's really cool.
Cool.
And what's happening with me? I actually helped Michelle with a thing she did for an open call for gosh, what's her name? Allison McBride, who's the casting director.
Yeah.
And it turns out I got that open call as well. So I'm going to be working on that. They gave me a new deadline of Sunday to get it in, so I'm going to be working on that this weekend. And what else have I been doing? I have a podcast called The Geeky Gospel, in which me and my friend talk about various pop culture, nerdy things, and we talk about how it connects to the Bible, which is interesting.
Cool.
And we have we just put out a YouTube channel for it, The Geeky Gospel, in which we've been doing. He's very much into Japanese rock, and so we've been watching a lot of music videos from these bands and reacting to them. So we've had some Bandmade and Baby Metal, to name a few, and we're also watching through The Mandalorian right now.
Cool.
So keeping busy.
Is there anything you need?
I really need to book. I would really love to book a actual voiceover gig for once. I've been doing a ton of auditions through my agency, Idiom Talent, and that through Vocab, but I haven't booked anything through them. And I'm getting a little.
What you might want to do is look at their talent roster and see who's booking, and then reach out to them via social media and just say, hey, I'm rep by the same agency and I'm getting auditions, but I'm not booking. Would you be open to having a phone conversation with me just to advise me or maybe to listen to my demo? People will probably say, fine, sure, you bet. Because, I find that it's so important to talk to people who are succeeding at what I want to do. And, and it has to be someone who's doing it now because the rules keep changing. So, and I mean, even with animation, it's like the scripts are very different. The writing is very different from when I was doing my work in the 80s and 90s, in animation. So, so yeah, absolutely. And even the 70s, I think I started writing animation scripts around 1978, 79. Yeah, so I would urge you to do that.
I am doing that tomorrow. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, because again, it may be something very simple, and it's very subtle, but it's interesting with Christina Moses, our friend who we discovered in when we cast her in the George Takei Star Trek episode. For a while, she wasn't getting cast, and she realized that although she was a wonderful actress, she needed to work. She actually started teaching acting, and she realized that she had to clean up her audition skills because she had to be sort of really living what she was teaching, and she cleaned up her audition skills, and she started booking, and then that led to her getting cast as the lead in Containment, then in the originals, and now in A Million Little Things on ABC as a lead. And so, but she, for years, she was getting tons of auditions, and people really liked her, but she wasn't booking, and she just had to change what she was doing. Then it worked. So just to let you know, there is hope. So great. Well, thanks, Adam. Yay! So I think we've done everyone but you, Elaine, and me. So
well, it is late. So
yeah,
we've already talked about keeping really, really busy. I'm excited about Barbara Bain doing hers, but I'd like to do a shout out for our team. We've got a lot of team up there.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for all of your crazy help.
Yeah,
and that includes Michelle Hart, who has not only helped us with Space Command, but helped me with a piece that I'm trying very hard to get the funding for.
Yes.
Which is Voiceless Roar. And she did a superb job with a very difficult character, which was a character in a tremendous amount of pain. And those are challenging. And so just a shout out and many, many thanks. It's great to have the energy of everybody.
Yeah. Is there anything you need, Elaine?
Not right now.
Okay.
Just plowing away. But thank you, guys.
Yay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's now it's me, wonderful me.
Yeah.
And actually, I should mention, David, I don't think you know this, that years ago, Michael Reeves, who is a table member and a dear friend, he once surprised Elaine and me with 2 T-shirts. Mine said "Me Wonderful Me," and Elaine's shirt said "You Wonderful You." So, so somebody will have to wear those. But in terms of what we're doing, I've gone over it a lot over the course of this evening. It's very exciting. I mean, so many of these actors we're working with are actors that I've loved since I was a kid. I mean, Barbara Bain and Nichelle Nichols, my God, amazing, and on and on. I mean, just the actors we have are so wonderful, and I'm so honored and thrilled to be working with them. Doing a one-day Space Command convention on June 20th is going to be super fun, and it's so much fun to see this episode come to fruition, because Dave, when you and I were starting to work on it, we had like a little bit of it put together, but then now we've got almost all of it put together. There's just a few little pieces yet to plug in, and that's just thrilling. And so it's very neat. And I'm working on the new book on Greenlighting Yourself. That's coming along. And Sweet Haven, I finished a draft, and Elaine read it and gave me some good notes, and I'm now revising it. Then we'll do the table read with our actors, and it just keeps going. It just keeps going. It's a blessed life. And thank God we live in Los Angeles, where we can go for walks in the sunshine and, take the dogs to the green place and throw the spheroid. I'm trying not to use any of their words where they'll wake up and start getting crazy. But, so life is good. Life is really good. And we just have to all stay safe and stay healthy and stay here. So that's about it for now. So again, to everyone, Mr. Sci-Fi and the table, we're here every Thursday at this time. And so tell your friends, and we're going to be having another crowdfunding campaign for Space Command, and it just keeps going. We're still selling shares in Space Command. For anyone who wants to invest in Space Command, they'll get a portion of my earnings, which is cool. And it just keeps going. It's really, really fun. And I'm so glad that thanks to the table and thanks to everything we've built over all these years, we can greenlight ourselves. I mean, it's really lovely. So many of my friends are stuck at home twiddling their thumbs. We're not. We're busier than ever, and that's a really good place to be in one's life, particularly at this stage in our life. So that's about it. June 25th is our 43rd wedding anniversary, which is a huge blessing. I mean, thank God I met her, and I was smart enough to keep her, and not let her go. And so, so I think that's about it for now. I'm sure we'll be talking to all of you over the next week, and thanks again for everything, and we'll see you next time. 3 cheers, everybody. Yay. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night, guys.
Good
Good
to see
night.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Night, everyone. Stay
Bye.
safe.
Yep.
Yep.
And end this, and end. There we go.